The story opens amidst a brutal battlefield. The emperor's bodyguard, a man born into slavery, met his end while unwaveringly defending the mad emperor who had made a pact with a demon. Would he be remembered as a knight who never betrayed his charge until the very last moment, or merely as a fool who lost because he failed to seize the right moment? Yet, no matter the verdict, it never satisfied him. He was none other than Cain later, the emperor's personal guard. Before Cain's final departure, someone had shouted in his face, "Why on earth did you draw your sword at the last moment? Why not vanish quietly from everyone's memory instead, you fool?" Cain. The voice belonged to Halo Reston, leader of the rebel forces. Cain smiled, a deep, contented smile at the choice he had made today. "I have lived 29 years as an orphan, and this is the decision I have made. Do not look for excuses to stir trouble, young Duke," he replied, his eyes gradually dimming. Halo's shouts began to falter. "You could have run. Why choose this path?" Halo cried out his name through tears. Cain opened his eyes. "You wretch, rise up." And then he was gone forever, leaving only regret in Halo's heart. The truth was, before departing, Cain had cried, "That damned Cain." In the eternal realm, the gentle footsteps of someone approaching echoed softly. This was Cain walking unconsciously, asking himself, "Where is this?" In the boundless expanse of the galaxy, he wondered silently, "Is this what death is like?" A satisfied smile spread across his face. "So freedom is not anything special. Well, that person will manage somehow. Fine, then, I will enjoy this so-called freedom to my heart's content." A soft blue light emanating from a rift in space caught Cain's attention. Its pale energy spread outward, drawing closer to him. The thin stream of light enveloped him, signaling some significant change about to occur. Cain wondered aloud, "What is this?" He opened his eyes to see a man with golden hair greeting him warmly. "You were born strong and healthy, Karen. Father, would you like to hold me for once?" His rough hands reached out to take him. "The boy is not crying. Well done." Cain, confused, thought, "What the hell is going on?" The man blessed him, "Grow up strong, my youngest grandchild." Karen recognized him immediately. "Huh, Halo." Though aged, it was indeed him. Amidst the joyful atmosphere, the first cries of a newborn echoed. "Oh no, did we make him cry again?" Karen still could not comprehend what was happening. "What the hell is going on?" Curiosity gnawed at him. I. Halo's grandson, in this bustling city, an important chapter of history was being recorded. Thus, Cain later, the knight who had died alongside the demon emperor 45 years ago. Though he could not prevent his master from walking a wrongful path, as a symbol of loyalty to the very end, his legacy is still acknowledged today. This is the latest conclusion from our modern historical society. Young master, what do you think? Karen propped his chin on his hand, returning the question. "So, what is your opinion, teacher?" David asked, curious. "Yes," the man replied, drawing on his own knowledge. I think the Grand Duke must have wanted to restore the honor of his old friend, since the relationship between Grand Duke Halo and Lord Cain was famously close." Karen sat up, his tone teasing. "Is that so?" David stared, bewildered. "What do you mean by that?" Karen answered, his brows furrowed. "I think our grandfather probably still harbors resentment toward his old friend who has passed away. So that is why he deliberately tarnished his friend's name." The boy, Karen Reston, was 10 years old, the third son of Halo Reston and the eldest son of Count Fail. David paled, stunned by the boy's confident assertion. "What is this kid saying?" he asked again. "What do you mean by that?" Karen, however, seemed certain of Halo's motives in the past. Grandfather disagreed with Cain's choice to die rather than walk the revolutionary path alongside him. Even though Cain wanted a quiet death instead of the glory of a hero, Karen explained. David silently reflected, thinking to himself, a quiet death, and in fact, records do say that the battle between the Grand Duke and Cain later ended far too quickly, hardly befitting the evenly matched skill of the two men. Even if it is just unofficial history, if Cain chose death over fighting his friend to the end or joining the revolution, that is a reasonable argument, Karen continued, flipping through pages of books to probe further. "Is not that right?" David could not believe the boy's sharp mind, just 10 years old and able to reason this far. "But if I agreed with that ruthless line of thought, the knights of the duchy would surely execute me for disrespect," he mused, uncertain how to respond. "That matter, David, only you can justify." "I never considered it from that perspective," Karen said, a playful smile spreading across his face at his teacher's embarrassment. He smirked and added, just kidding, just kidding." "Why are you so surprised?" After class ended, Karen walked away. "From now on, my name is Karen Reston. Everyone can see that." I am the youngest grandchild of the Reston Duke. For now, yes. It will take some time to fully grasp the situation. But the conclusion is clear. I have been reincarnated as Halo Reston's grandson. That name has no clue what is going on. Dare to make me a hero. Things that do not need to be said should be understood instinctively, Karen muttered, catching sight of the stunned figure before him. The man was none other than Fail, Halo's youngest son. That is my father, Karen said, clearing his throat to regain focus. Ahem. Hearing the cough, Fail turned to greet him. Oh, Karen, are you done with your studies? Karen nodded and inquired. Yes, father. Are you praying again, still concerned about my eye-opening ritual? I see. Fail sighed, muttering a few unintelligible words. I apologize, son. Karen, curious, asked, for what? Fail explained, you know. Unlike your two uncles, I was never able to awaken my magic. I worry that my shortcomings might be passed on to you. Karen stepped forward, placing his hand on Fail's shoulder. Father, no matter what anyone says, you are still the greatest father to me. Fail's face turned crimson, cheeks burning. Karen, you truly are my wonderful son. He tousled Caron's hair, making the boy shy. Oh, my son. Let us go have dinner. What would you like to eat? Karen replied firmly, meat, of course. That night, the magic stone hovered in the air, and Karen caught it, silently thinking, the eye-opening ritual. His eyes lit up as memories of the past flooded back. The eye-opening ritual, what is that? Halo had explained before. It is a tradition of our family, an ancient and outdated ritual, meant to awaken the latent magic within the body. Karen had scoffed, dismissing it harshly. So even magic can get a silver spoon handed to it. Sorry, but I do not care about that nonsense. Halo went on to clarify, not everyone can awaken their magic. And even if they do, it does not mean they gain the right to become the head of the family. Furthermore, there is a terrible secret passed down only to the family head from generation to generation. Caron's eyes sparkled with curiosity. A secret, you say, like a great treasure? Or maybe the location of a magical tome that can grant wishes? Halo hoisted his sword onto his shoulder, clearly excited. Well, starting to feel interested now, huh? Karen quickly glanced away, deflecting. Maybe a little. Like being able to live quietly somewhere without any demons knowing. Halo's exaggerated sigh made Karen frown in irritation. Damn it, are you mocking your friend's little dream? I am holding a weapon here, do you believe it or not? Halo suddenly exclaimed, piquing Caron's curiosity. Alright, one day when I become the head of the family, I will specially let you know that secret. Returning to the present, Karen sat quietly by the window, musing, so the ritual to awaken magic. That is the eye-opening ritual. His whole body glowed as he said, Father, you do not need to worry. Magic seemed to surge from within him, radiating outward, and his eyes shone with unwavering determination. I completed the eye-opening ritual long ago. The next morning, the train station was bustling with activity. Someone said it is amazing, a voice asked. Yes, because it is my first time riding a train, came the reply. Romeo briefly explained things to help him understand. Many of the techniques used to build this train could have already been commercialized, thanks to your father directly funding them, she added. Caron's excitement was palpable. I see, that really is amazing. Fail looked a little embarrassed. Madam, you even mentioned that, she winked at Karen. Even though your father says that, it truly is remarkable. I know that well, and I completely agree. Of course, I am really proud of my father, that is the truth. Though Fail could not awaken his magic, he scratched his head with an awkward smile, feeling shy. Karen praised him, yet Fail was an extraordinary man capable of personally covering 30% of the Duke's finances. Alongside a devoted father and a kind, perceptive mother, it was clear that Karen had the perfect parental figures. As they traveled, the sky suddenly darkened, and the train accelerated toward its destination. Inside the carriage, Karen gazed out the window, wide-eyed. Then something caught his attention, a vast, beautiful, fortified city. Karen was certain that this was the Redston family estate. The place had a solemn air. He thought, that is where he lives. He imagined the grave demeanor of Halo Reston and Kane, now residing within his own body, infused with fierce determination. A small smirk curved across Caron's lips. You dare. You will feel the pain. Seeing Caron's unusual expression, Fail tilted his head in confusion, sensing something mysterious emanating from him. In Kane's form, Karen said firmly, soon I will make you feel it. This youngest grandson will be the one to give you a headache. And now, in my body, I declare myself the most defiant of the Reston clan. Karen smirked, his eyes brimming with excitement. Just wait, Halo. The train continued to roll forward, a symbol of renewal. Your adorable youngest grandson is here. The speeding train screeched to a halt, and Caron's family stepped out of the carriage, followed closely by servants carrying their luggage. A man stood waiting, bowing respectfully. You have arrived, third young master. It has been a long time. Fael returned the greeting with a polite hand wave. It has been a year, has not it? You have been well, Heinrich. Heinrich responded courteously, thanks to the blessings of the Duke. I have been in good health. Caron's attention flicked to the soldiers behind Heinrich, who were likewise watching him closely. The Sea Wolf Knights, Karen thought, noting their serious expressions as they huddled together, whispering yet keeping their eyes fixed on him. Could they have noticed that I have awakened my mana, definitely different from the knights in my family's territory? He thought of the friend from his past life, now his grandfather. This news will reach him soon enough. It did not matter. Fael led the way for the family. Shall we go? I will take you to the main castle, he said, picking up his suitcase. Let us go. Inside the lavish room, a maid curtsied respectfully. The Count has requested you wait here while he greets the senior members of the family. If you need anything, please do not hesitate to call us. Karen remained composed. Thank you. He took in the surroundings, marveling, oblivious to the door behind him slowly opening. Just a reception room. But it is enormous. He glanced at the bright cityscape outside and muttered, this is boring. I should have asked to be taken to the library instead. A mocking laugh echoed. Ha ha, a boy sneered, arms crossed, tone dripping with derision. Just arrived at the family estate and already demanding the library exactly as rumored. A bookworm, Karen murmured, smirking with contempt. Makes sense being the bloodline of your father. Your chance of awakening magic is low, so you would better study. And if you want to go mad chasing money like the servants, follow your father's example. Karen went silent, frowning, fists clenched, stepping forward. Leo flinched at the sight. What is this? He shouted angrily, hands crackling with threatening mana. HMPH, want to die? Fine, then I will teach you a lesson with mana. Caron's glare was lethal, eyes burning as if he could devour Leo alive. So there is a prodigal child in this household. Leo trembled at the overwhelming presence. What? He stammered, face pale, cautiously backing up. How could you? Leo shouted in horror. Impossible. When did you awaken your mana? I have never heard my father mention it. Caron's lips curved in a triumphant smile, his entire body shrouded in thick, palpable mana. Of course. Even my father did not know. Karen then shifted the topic. Let us forget that for now. The important thing is that he is still clinging to his meager mana supply. Karen smiled warmly, gesturing with his hand. Our family does not need two prodigal brats, do we, cousin? That is my responsibility now, so you step aside. Leo recoiled in fear. What exactly are you saying? Karen now resembled a demon bearing claws before him. In short, he was inviting a beating. In another room, 4 relatives had gathered. Awakened already, Heinrich remarked. Yes, the 3 captains of the Night Guild confirmed it, Fael replied, resting his chin on his hand. I see. Raphael crossed his arms, turning to scold. You awakened your mana but did not inform the family. Is there some hidden reason? This was the Reston family's second son, Raphael Reston. Fael's face was doubtful. Impossible. He himself was not aware. Another voice spoke to ease the tension. Do not speculate, Raphael. If Fael could not awaken his mana, it is only natural he would not notice. This was Thales Reston, the eldest son of the Reston family. He scowled, muttering, HMPH, this is ridiculous. Suddenly, a servant burst in, panicked. Master Steward, please come quickly. He slowly turned, frowning. What is it? His face darkened, and he stammered. All 3 brothers immediately turned to see what was happening. The servant pointed toward the room. Second young master. Raphael's expression darkened, radiating a tense energy as he stepped inside. Fael followed quickly, trying to calm him. Brother, there must be some misunderstanding. But Raphael's veins stood out as he glared furiously. In front of him lay a child sprawled across the sofa, clearly having been roughed up. He turned his head. Ah. Karen. The boy bowed politely. Greetings, uncle. Before he could finish, a large hand shot toward him. Raphael, furious, scooped him up and barked, You insolent brat, how dare you? Karen froze. Raphael clenched his fist, ready to teach him a lesson. What on earth were you thinking? Daring to do this, Fael rushed forward to stop his elder brother. Karen explained calmly, the matter is. His words made everyone pause. Leo insulted my father. He looked around, exuding authority as he challenged, if it were you, uncle, could you have endured that? Raphael's anger flared even higher. This little brat dares to make up stories. Fael patted his shoulder to restrain him. Brother, stop right there. Raphael ground his teeth. Shut up, you fool. In the end, it was all because the child had not been properly disciplined. Fael stammered, well. That matter. Heinrich appeared in time to cut off the argument. Everyone, please stop, he said calmly, continuing, the head of the family will make the final judgment. He then yanked Karen back. Have not you heard? Let go. Raphael clicked his tongue. Damn it. A servant carried Leo away, while Fael helped straighten Caron's collar. Are you all right, Karen? The boy obediently replied, yes, father, I am fine. Heinrich turned to lead the way. Shall we go then? He did not forget to glare back. He patted Karen on the shoulder helplessly. Let us move. Karen furrowed his brow. Yes, father. It has been a long time. They strode down the corridor. Halo, the man himself, smirked slightly. His hand rested authoritatively on the table, radiating the presence of a superior. So, what reason did you have to cause trouble as soon as you arrived at the castle? Fael waved his hands to explain. Father, about this matter. Halo cut him off. I am not asking you, Fael. I want to hear the answer from your own son. I know he is not someone who acts recklessly without reason. There must be a reason. Speak clearly, Halo demanded. Karen assessed the situation internally. Even when punishing, he wants to hear the reasoning first. Pretending to be lenient, he did not hesitate and spoke bluntly. Because Leo insulted my father. Raphael hissed in anger. Nonsense, can't you even tell the truth? Halo slammed his hand on the table, shouting, silence, Raphael. How dare you raise your voice in front of me? Seeing his father's anger, Raphael immediately relented. I apologize, father. Halo shifted the discussion. As long as Leo is called here to verify, the matter is settled. Heinrich, has Leo finished his treatment? He asked respectfully. Yes, master, I will take him to the study. Heinrich turned to Karen. I also wish to ask you something. Karen, already anticipating the question, replied clearly, if it is about mana. I awakened mine 3 years ago. This statement left everyone astonished. 3 years, Halo was pleased but curious. Then why has even your father not known? You awakened it 3 years ago. This boy. Karen explained, I initially discovered it while reading books. Later, I realized it was magic. Halo's curiosity grew. And then, Karen scratched his head, smiling sheepishly. I just wanted to keep it a secret. Secrets make things more interesting. The knights in the territory did not know either, so it is even more fun, Halo said, steepling his hands, a hint of disappointment in his tone. So it was just that simple. Caron's childish smile remained. Hee hee. Yes. A servant pushed the door open to announce, Master Leo has arrived. Leo stepped in, his face almost entirely covered in bandages. He asked, so you are saying he insulted the youngest? Is that correct? All eyes in the room fixed on Leo, making him fidget nervously. About that. Leo began, but Karen seized the moment. I apologize, sir, but even though Leo insulted my father, calling him a greedy, lowly, unworthy heir who still acts arrogantly and uselessly. Leo flinched at the words. Karen continued calmly, still, I should not have struck him. I have committed a serious mistake. This display terrified Leo, who stammered, I did not mean it that far. His nose ran, and he glanced fearfully at Caron's fist, clenched threateningly. Halo, composed, asked, are these your words? Terrified, Leo could not disobey and admitted, why yes, sir, that is correct. Halo rubbed his temple. I see. For now, because the mana awakening ceremony will be held tomorrow, any punishment for both of you will be postponed. That night, the castle remained brightly lit. That is enough for today. Everyone, retire and rest. Outside the window, a conversation drifted in. Heinrich, what do you make of Fael's child? Heinrich responded, from what I see, there are quite a few qualities that could catch the master's attention. Halo nodded approvingly. Indeed, fascinating. The boy awakened his mana 3 years ago, and has kept it hidden until now. He lifted his wine glass. Furthermore, he subtly questioned the abilities of the knights I sent to Fael's territory, almost implying that I underestimated Fael. Heinrich sighed. You might be overthinking, Master. Halo took a sip. I hope not. But there is something unusual about this boy, Halo said, setting the glass down. If he truly is exceptional, it will become clear tomorrow. He stood up. Simply awakening mana is not everything. Halo glanced out the window. The key is whether tomorrow he can successfully complete the ritual, and if he does, what he will gain from it. The moonlight cast a silver glow over the castle. That night, in the deserted forest, something raced swiftly toward the source of a faint light. It approached a lone pillar standing amid the woods, a stone radiating an ethereal blue glow. Night had fallen over Qinghai City, and the forest surrounding it was plunged into absolute silence. Halo led the way, followed by his subordinates and a throng of children and grandchildren. As Karen trailed behind, curiosity drew him to observe the Reston family closely. He could easily sense the mana radiating from each of them. Even though they have withdrawn from active affairs, I can feel that every single one of them is an elite, he thought. Caron's gaze swept over the members, Thales, the firstborn of the rail branch, Leon's daughter, and Raphael, the second son, along with Leo, the youngest. A smirk tugged at the corner of his mouth. A whole house descending like a bustling market. This must be far more important than I anticipated. The group halted before a massive stone, around which mana thickened and shimmered more intensely than before. Caron's eyes widened as he realized the source. Could that be the bloodstone of oaths? Halo held a pendant in one hand and spoke solemnly, "Let the ritual begin." He slowly explained to them, when you step through the rift opened by the bloodstone of oaths, you will enter a world chosen specifically for you by this stone. Fael grew a bit impatient, but Karen listened intently. They say that each person will see a different world through the bloodstone of oaths. The ritual only ends when you use the weapon obtained there to destroy that world. When Halo finished, Karen bowed respectfully. Yes, grandfather. Halo's gaze lingered on him, filled with an unspoken depth. Then he brought the pendant closer to the bloodstone. Good. Stay focused. The moment the pendant touched the stone's surface, an immediate reaction was triggered. Magic erupted from the stone's base, shooting high into the air and forming a protective barrier around it. The energy intensified rapidly, making the forest itself seem alive with power. Fael and Karen slowly opened their eyes, awestruck by the glowing spectacle before them. Halo stood resolute at the threshold and asked, "What are you waiting for? Are you trembling?" His concern for Karen was evident. "Karen, are you truly ready?" Karen placed a reassuring hand on his father's. "I am fine, father. I will return soon." Confidence radiated from him as he stepped forward. "I must use the weapon I obtained there to destroy the world." A faint, triumphant smile curved his lips. Too easy. Slowly, his body passed through the spatial gateway. "Destruction is my specialty," he said with a sudden spark of excitement. "Karen, overcome your fear." Karen turned to him, puzzled. "Overcome my fear." Once Karen stepped inside, the gateway closed behind him automatically. He was instantly transported to a completely alien place, heat radiating around him and the red flames illuminating everything in a bewildering glow. Before him, the desolate scene repeated itself, and Karen wandered along the ruined path, muttering, "Why?" Several soldiers lay dying, slumped against walls. "You want me to feel remorse for comrades lost in vain," he thought, his mood sinking. As he lifted his head, a faint light shimmered from a distant doorway, ascending the main staircase toward a throne. A familiar voice rang out, "A harsh, desolate world awaits you, child of Lam Lang." The door behind him suddenly glowed red. "The moment of the contract has arrived. I have come to fulfill the promise made to your ancestors." Shiny shoes stepped lightly onto the bloodstained steps, the streaks of red still fresh. "Who are you?" Caron's eyes widened at the mysterious figure. The being answered, "A demon. The blood in your veins, no lesser demon can trespass here." Karen pushed the large door open. "Overcome your fear and ascend the throne. What you desire lies there." His eyes were immediately drawn to the crimson-stained floor. "It has been a long time." Nearby, a few faint beams of light pierced through the gloom, casting an eerie glow over the scene. On the throne lay something, the very throne that emperors had risked everything to protect, even forging pacts with demons. As Karen approached, the space behind him seemed to compress. "I never imagined that my comrades and I might have to die for this rotten throne. It feels like I am stepping over my brother's corpses," he thought grimly. The demon's voice spoke again, resonating with solemnity, "Child blessed by the icy North Sea. Even if wandering souls falter, congratulations, Karen. At last, you have arrived. On behalf of the Lamb clan, I welcome you. Karon's expression darkened. That. Memories of his past flooded back, the sword. It is your weapon. He realized with shock that it was the beloved sword once bestowed upon him by the Emperor, the Blood Seal Demon Sword. The demon urged, channel your mana into it. Karon froze. What? That is a demon sword, it will devour the user's soul. The calm voice reassured him, the evil intent trapped within it was purged by your grandfather long ago. What you see now is merely the distorted remnant of its demonic essence. Awaken the sword, boy. Only you can do it. Still, Karon hesitated. Is it safe to touch it? What if I become a mindless puppet? Killing under the Emperor's command, the image of Fael flashed before him. Overcome your fear, Karon. Understanding dawned, and a rare smile tugged at his lips. So that is it. A rare kindness in disguise. Resolute, he stepped closer to the demon sword. He realized then that the true purpose of the awakening ritual was not simply to obtain a weapon, it was to compel the heir to confront and overcome the deepest fears buried within their heart. He reached out, gripping the familiar hilt. The moment his hand touched it, the sword violently drew upon his mana. A surge of paralysis swept through his mind, and his body plunged suddenly into a pool of water. So this is the Lamb awakening. The Blood Seal Demon Sword is right here. In its Blood Seal form. The pure waters slowly cleansed the corruption upon it. I do not understand why it chose me in this form, he thought, though the distance between him and the sword steadily narrowed. Originally, it was the sword of the Rael ancestor. Karon had to grasp it with both hands to control it. Even the sword my grandfather took was an ancestral sword, but this. Its power is entirely different. A sharp, excruciating pain shot through him. Because the strength it possesses is unlike anything tied to our family bloodline. He clenched his eyes shut, gritting his teeth against the agony. Gradually, everything seemed to revert, astonishing him. What? What is this? The mysterious being prompted. Endure it. The sword's mana is inscribing itself onto your body. Despite his sweat-soaked face, Karon's excitement flared. The mana coursing through me is incredibly potent. A sword whose magic wields such terrifying power. He carefully inspected the blade. Indeed, the Lamb awakening is truly extraordinary. Then what is the true name of this sword? He asked. Quickly, the being replied, a sword that has slain countless demons, devouring their power. Even demons shrink at its name. Its history was erased from all records. Born from the northern seas, deep, dark, and pure. Light glinted sharply off its edge. The blade severing verdict. Guillotine. Karon felt drawn to it as if hypnotized. The blade severing verdict. Guillotine. The mysterious figure said, a black sword as deep as the abyss. It suits your destiny perfectly, boy. Karon's curiosity sparked. And? Who are you? He speculated, you claim to be of the Lamb clan. Could you be Lamb Long, the guardian of our family? The being shook his head. You are not yet worthy to call my true name. Then it made a request that made him sigh. If one day you master the seas, come find me at the northern sea. Karon fell silent for a moment, then asked, and now, how do we get out? The figure replied, you already know. His attention immediately shifted to the throne. Ah, of course, he murmured. With excitement, the sword leapt into his hand. Perfect, I've been waiting for this. Without hesitation, he swung a powerful strike to shatter it. Outside, Fael's anxiety was evident in every movement. Halo noticed and reassured him, don't worry too much. Fael hesitated, I'm sorry, father, Halo nodded knowingly. Watching your child step onto a new path is never easy. I understand. Then Halo offered firm advice. Which is why you must keep your mind steady. Karon gave a faint smile. Yes, father. Leo was the first to cry out when he sensed the disturbance. The stone oath, it's. He hurriedly reported, grandfather, the stone oath is breaking. Halo's eyes widened in astonishment. What? Within a single second, the massive stone cracked cleanly in two right before their eyes. Covering his face, Halo whispered in disbelief. What is happening? Had the one they were waiting for returned with their weapon already? Karon rubbed his head in bewilderment. Have I really come back? The corner of his mouth twisted into a crooked smile. The stone oath, it's destroyed. The members of the family were left stunned and frozen by the sight. After a moment of hesitation, Karon finally noticed the fragments scattered at his feet. He hesitated, then spoke to them, the oath stone. It is broken. Fael's face turned ashen with shock. Karon, what on earth have you done? You actually shattered the oath stone. Karen feigned innocence as he glanced at Halo. Grandfather. Halo did not scold him. Instead, his expression shifted in surprise at something else. He recognized the object in Caron's hand, the sword. The blade-severing verdict guillotine, the very sword that had beheaded their ancestor Rael Reston. Erased from family history, it existed only in the oral accounts of the family head and elder council. But why had it appeared here, and not only caught Halo's attention but also that of the masters accompanying him? Halo's gaze sharpened as he demanded an explanation. Karen. Could it be that the time of the covenant is approaching? Meanwhile, Karen examined guillotine with curiosity. Was he not afraid of the sword? Without hesitation, he answered firmly, I am not afraid. Halo accepted the reply almost immediately. I see, he said, his expression softening into reflection. Halo Reston's thoughts drifted far into the past. Our ancestors failed to complete the covenant with the Azure Dragon. That covenant was meant to purge the demons spilling forth from the ends of the world. They left the oath stone as proof of their vow, waiting for a chosen one to appear and fulfill it. Could it be that Karen is the heir destined to complete this covenant? He concluded his reflection, raising his hand to the sky. I am Halo Reston. What came next shocked everyone even more. I hereby declare that Karen, son of Rael Reston, is an official member of the Blue Sea Fortress. He is the direct heir chosen by the blade-severing verdict and worthy of inheriting the secret arts of the Sea Spirit. Raphael's anger flared. I never expected a kid like that to inherit the Sea Spirit's secret arts. Meanwhile, Thales silently assessed the situation. The blade-severing verdict truly exists. Rael checked Karen anxiously. Are you hurt anywhere? Karen obediently replied, No, father. The more Rael thought, the more skeptical he became. I thought I knew every weapon passed down in the family, but I have never heard of that sword. Yet, in his eyes, the aura it emitted was formidable, and just looking at it sent a chill down his spine. Still, he insisted before them both, my son is walking a path you have never trodden, but I will never let that throne be shaken by the variable called my son. As dawn broke, Halo swiftly told them, the awakening ritual is complete. Let us return. They had barely taken a few steps when Raphael called out loudly. Elder brother, frustrated, he asked, are you just going to stand there and watch? Understanding his intention, the other replied, perhaps we will need a private conversation soon. Raphael nodded. That will do. Even the most greedy recognize a crisis when it comes, he thought. Shifting topics, Raphael asked, by the way, are you familiar with the sword called the blade-severing verdict? Though reluctant, Thales had to admit he was not. A surge of anger rose within him. Elder brother, I truly cannot comprehend this situation. Why is it the son of Rael? He turned his gaze forward. The important thing now was for them to look together at the father and son. Now is not the time for us to divide ourselves. As time quietly passed, a new day dawned beautifully. They arrived at the train station, but Rael was still a little uneasy. Are you truly okay staying here by yourself? Karen replied decisively, yes, father. Heinrich added, is there any place safer than the Blue Sea Fortress? He forced a small smile. True, it is secure against external threats, but what worries me is Raphael and Thales becoming a concern within Rael's thoughts' internal risks. Of course, with their father present, I do not expect either of them to act rashly. Clearing his throat to get Rael's attention, Heinrich addressed him formally, Third Duke, a reminder, the person entrusted with passing on the Sea Spirit's secret arts to young Master Karen is Miss Sabina. Rael immediately recognized the name. Oh, it is her, his tone brightened. If it is her, I can be even more at ease. Karen also took note of this. Sabina, if it is her, then that is settled, Karen thought, frowning slightly. Sabina Reston, Halo's younger sister, a formidable master in her own right, often called the White Wolf. Heinrich cautioned him further, she dotes on me greatly, so Karen must never be disrespectful to her. The boy nodded obediently. Yes, father, I will do my best. Heinrich continued, there is one more thing, a message from the family head. Rael's surprise was evident. From father, the message moved him deeply. Arrangements had been made for him to have a residence within the Blue Sea Fortress, so he could visit whenever he wished. He could not help but wipe away a quick tear. Really, father, he said, regaining his composure. I can leave without worry. Thank you, Heinrich. The older man replied politely, it is nothing. Gently, he ruffled Caron's hair a bit longer. Take care, Karen. If you ever need help, contact me anytime. Karen responded cheerfully, yes, father. The last train departed, carrying them back to their home. Heinrich escorted Karen to the tower, with the Sea Wolf Knights guarding behind. Slowing slightly, he urged, "Let us go. Miss Sabina is waiting." Karen responded quickly, "We can't keep her waiting." But before moving on, Heinrich offered a word of advice. "Excuse me, may I give you a tip?" Karen politely agreed. "Yes, please." Heinrich said seriously, "Miss Sabina hates being called, Madam. You should avoid using that term." Karen nodded immediately in understanding. "I will remember. Thank you for the reminder." "Why is it wrong to call your sister, Madam?" Karen mused as they passed through a sturdy wall and entered new territory. Heinrich introduced the area. Only direct heirs of the family are permitted to train in the chambers within this blue sea forest. Miss Sabina is waiting. "Young master, please enter." Suddenly, Heinrich remembered something else. And young master Leo is also present. Caron's mind lit up. "I will even get to be with Leo." Heinrich carefully added, "It seems the second young master personally requested Miss Sabina." They paused there, and Karen waved before moving quickly forward. "I will go now." His small but energetic figure drew Heinrich's attention. Adjusting his glasses with a smile, he murmured, "It has been a long time since it has been this lively." From the entrance, a massive surge of mana was pressing outward. Caron's alertness intensified. "Even from outside, I can sense an overwhelming flow of magic." As he pondered cautiously, a voice called from within the house. "Why are you still standing there? Come in." Urged on, he quickly pushed the door open. "I, Karen Reston, son of Phael, request permission to make my appearance." As he stepped inside, the scene astonished him. She glanced over. "Well, who is this? Surprised I do not match your expectations." Though seated, her noble aura radiated power. "Karen Reston, son of Phael." Sabina's sharp eyes studied him. "I never expected you to be the adorable son of Phael. Time flies so fast on this side." Caron's lips twitched involuntarily. Has she reconstructed her body with mana? That means she is not really human. Incredible. Impossible. She has reached the level of an 8-star knight. The moment Karen stepped inside, Sabina's cold voice rang out. "Why are you just standing there? Sit cross-legged at once." Her commanding tone startled both Karen and Leo. "You may sit next to Leo," she added. Karen immediately moved to the spot, glancing at Leo with a gentle smile. "We will be seeing each other often, let us get along, okay?" Sabina, seated nearby, observed the two and lazily spoke up, testing him. "I never imagined hearing the title, White Wolf, from a child like you." Karen responded carefully, "I read it in a book." Sabina exhaled softly, impressed by his boldness. "Indeed, an interesting child, just as my brother said." Karen, unafraid and composed, pressed on. "May I ask what your grandfather said about me?" Recalling Halo's proud demeanor, Sabina replied coldly, "He said you are a child who naturally earns the affection of others." "Now I understand why he said that." Her eyes brightened as she recalled Halo's true words, "This child must cross the ocean. Guide them, so that one day they may rule the seas." Her face turned serious, determined to become Caron's guiding lighthouse. Silently, she assessed Caron's entire aura. Just from a glance, this child's potential is enormous, fierce, boundless. One might call it the potential of an expanding ocean. She could not help but draw a mental parallel to the massive, untamed waves of the sea reflected in him. Her evaluation continued, truly a potential master of the oceans. Watching the two children sit solemnly opposite her, she mused with a hint of amusement. Who would have thought I would meet such an interesting child here? Rising gracefully from her seat, she approached them slowly. "Let us begin. The cross-legged posture you are in is the most fundamental basis for mana training," she explained, turning her hands with focused precision. "Once you surpass the beginner stage, you can wield mana without sitting cross-legged." Instantly, Sabina unleashed her mana with overwhelming force, letting Karen and Leo experience its intensity firsthand. The surge of her power hit them directly, leaving both stunned. Karen quickly regained his composure, glaring at her. This is blue sea mana." Gradually withdrawing her mana, Sabina smiled slightly while explaining seriously, "The blue sea mastery technique is essentially the method to command the seas. By harnessing blue sea mana, you can create and operate an ocean within your own body." Watching the two children sit attentively, she continued her lecture, "The more you operate, the stronger your ocean of power becomes. When you can control 8 oceans, you reach the 8-star realm. The stage of operating 8 oceans is called the 9-star level." Karen listened intently, hanging on her every word. Across the entire continent, only 3 have achieved it. Within the Empire, only one. Sabina smiled gently as she mentioned it. The only one to reach 9-star on the mainland is your grandfather and also my brother, Halo. Hearing Halo's name from her lips filled Karen with renewed determination. Halo. In this life, I will catch up to him. Noticing the resolve in his eyes, Sabina was momentarily taken aback. This child even craves power, she then smiled with amusement. An interesting child. Training will be very enjoyable. In the isolated academy within the forest, her serious voice echoed, let the mana flow through the meridians opened by the awakening ritual. Leo and Karen trained with intense focus under Sabina's guidance. The power of the sea is not about control, it is about integration, she instructed. Karen gradually felt the fierce waves surging within his body. He sensed the raw stiffness of each wave, then the rhythmic accumulation and release from his heart. Sabina's eyes widened as she witnessed magical sparks emanating from his body. Frowning, she observed him intently. Is this the mana of a child who has completed the awakening ritual? She then glanced at Leo, also concentrating beside him, and murmured in amazement, the one who learned the Blue Sea Mastery technique 2 years ago is only just reaching the 2nd-star level. Once again, she stared at Karen, puzzled. He is self-adjusting his meridians without me having taught him how. Karen continued to feel the transformation of his body. It is as if my body is being torn apart. Hearing the unusual sounds, Sabina's gaze sharpened. Is he stopping himself? Could it be that his body is sensing the pressure? As she pondered, something caught her attention. He even knows how to regulate the tempo himself. Meanwhile, Leo had exhausted himself, collapsing onto the floor, which alarmed Sabina. She rushed to support him, scolding gently, I told you not to push your mana beyond your limits. Seeing Leo's frail state, she momentarily chastised herself, I was so focused on Karen that I forgot Leo is just a child. Still lost in thought, she reminded herself, that is why adults are here to prevent harm to their bodies. From behind, Karen mumbled quietly, you are really terrible. Sabina glanced at him, silently analyzing. This child understands his friend's limits and stops before overexertion. She continued to evaluate him seriously. At this age, to maintain calm and self-control while yearning for power. Impressive. Observing his cool demeanor, Sabina's own gaze unconsciously grew colder. This child does not even need a guiding lighthouse. Stepping closer, she stood before him and called his name solemnly, Karen. Her face conveyed a promise. For the next 3 years, I will ensure your safety. Karen, taken aback, listened as she continued with authority. Focus on developing your strength to protect yourself over these 3 years. Surprised, he instinctively accepted her directive. Yes, Lady Sabina. Around them, the training ground buzzed with seriousness. Rares, watching their combat postures, shouted in frustration, do not flail as if you are fighting for real. His attention was drawn to the newcomers entering the arena. Slowly, Leo and Karen stepped in. Leo hesitated, eyeing the sword in Caron's hand. You are going to use that sword for training. Karen, puzzled by the question, responded, is there a problem? Then, slightly irritated, he added, everyone says it has a fierce aura, so I kept it in my grandfather's sheath. Still unconvinced, Leo waved his hand quickly. It is not that I do not like it. At that moment, Rares stepped forward, interrupting them. Welcome, Karen. Leo. Karen froze, staring at the tall man. This is Rares, someone explained, noticing his confusion. I will be responsible for Caron's sword training. With a commanding presence, Rares introduced himself. I am Rares, commander of the Seawolf Knights. Call me Knight Rares. Caron's face displayed a mix of awe and excitement. Clearly an 8-star level warrior. Rares stared at him and stated plainly, I will not call you Duke's grandson, only when the Seawolf pack recognizes you. Karen shrugged nonchalantly. Honestly, that makes me more comfortable. I am not used to the title of Duke's grandson. His voice continued evenly, I also understand that Reston family traditions require respect from the sea wolves, earned through skill. Rares, surprised by his calm demeanor, remarked, an interesting reaction. Most would resent it. He then turned to Leo, who looked utterly perplexed. Young Master Leo is no exception. Rares studied him closely, thinking, has the wise heir finally appeared? His face twisted into a fearsome smile, which unnerved both Leo and Karen. Observing Rares's shocked expression, Karen thought quietly, soon, everyone will bow before me. The three stood frozen in the vast training ground, each lost in their own thoughts. Could anyone be worse than this? 3 years later, in the fortress on the Blue Sea, a man quietly savored the wine in his hand. Sabina held her own glass, continually exclaiming, as expected, "My brother's wine is still the best." Halo observed her with a hint of helplessness and whispered, "Is not it about time you stopped sneaking my wine, Sabina?" She frowned in mild irritation, shooting him a glare. "How can you speak so coldly? I have spent 3 years training your grandchildren just because you asked." Halo's expression grew thoughtful, his face contemplative. 3 years already," he murmured. Then, probing gently, he asked, "After all this time, what is your impression of him?" Sabina, slightly surprised by the question, responded firmly, her voice filling the room, "My impression, that boy is a monster." Halo, holding his glass, paused in confusion. "You are calling my grandson a monster?" Even the guards standing nearby felt uneasy. Even the word genius seemed mild compared to that. Halo turned to Reres, continuing his inquiry. Upon hearing it, Reres's expression grew serious. "After observing Karen for 3 years, I must agree with Miss Sabina," he said. His analytical tone rang out evenly: physique, innate talent, training discipline, determination, courage, everything is exceptional. He emphasized with unwavering seriousness, "This boy surpasses the first young master, the one rumored to be a genius." Halo's face darkened, sharp and cold, upon hearing this. "You mean Thales Hugo's eldest son?" Halo asked, staring at Reres, awaiting confirmation. "A talent even surpassing Hugo, considered #1 in the entire nation." The moment Reres affirmed this, Sabina's face broke into a radiant smile as she interjected, "If not properly managed, the family will go into chaos over my dear brother Kem." Halo raised an eyebrow at her playful remark, clearly puzzled. "What do you mean, Sabina?" She quickly shed her playful demeanor and fixed him with a serious gaze. "Think about how he will affect succession, and what your sons will think of the boy." Halo picked up the wine decanter he had just poured into an empty glass and analyzed her words carefully. "You are suggesting my sons might pose a threat to him. Everything is under control now, but once this news spreads across the empire, who knows?" Sabina's brow furrowed, a mixture of confusion and irritation in her voice as she pressed, "Is not it obvious how this will affect succession and what might happen afterward?" Halo's face darkened, exuding an aura that made Sabina hesitate. She let out a long exhale, her tone softening. "Now that the stone oath has been broken, is our family approaching its end? The number of northern sea monsters crossing the borders has also surged unexpectedly." Before she could finish, a voice sharp with anger cut through, "Nonsense." Halo looked at her sternly, refusing to accept her panic, and explained, "Breaking the stone will recreate a new one, just as our ancestors did long ago." Sabina's lips curved into a knowing, mischievous smile. "I have never heard of that. Is it a prophecy passed down to the eldest scion?" Halo did not dispute her statement, merely clarifying, "It means the moment of the covenant is approaching." Sabina's sharp eyes suddenly glinted as she looked directly at Halo. "Our little darling is about to bear a lot of responsibility," she said. Then, turning her question toward him, she asked, "So, when will Karen be told?" Halo paused thoughtfully before responding, "When the time comes." Meanwhile, Caron's letter had reached Fael. "How are you, father? First, I apologize for not being able to visit home yet. Training has been so busy, and the weather has turned cold lately. I know you are sensitive to it, so dress warmly. Recently, I have mastered the 4th level sea spirit technique and the 4th method of the blue wolf sword style. I have also been working on getting along with the family as you instructed, especially Leo. I am taking good care of him. Also, I have a small request. I have run out of spending money. Could you send a bit more?" Fael read the letter and could not help but chuckle indulgently. He gently set the letter down, letting out a soft sigh of happiness. "Heinrich, do you know, I still remember 3 years ago. How worried I was about Karen at the Blue Sea Fortress." His voice rang out with joy. "So, he is adapting incredibly fast," Heinrich commented, seeing Fael's pleased expression. "I remember, the fortress has not had a single quiet day with the young master around." Fael's face darkened slightly as he recalled something, letting out a thoughtful sigh. "I have said countless times, standing out too much is not always good." Heinrich quickly reassured him, "But gold shines no matter where it is." Then, adopting a more serious tone, he added, "But perhaps things are about to change. People won't be able to keep Caron's presence in the fortress a secret much longer." Hearing this, Fael's expression turned serious as he asked, "You mean he might be ready for a mission?" Heinrich nodded and clarified, "Exactly. He must carry out his assigned duties as a member of the Blue Wolves." Fael then voiced a lingering concern. "I worry that my 2 older sons won't take kindly to the growing influence of my youngest at the Blue Sea Fortress." Heinrich, relaxing slightly, gave a faint smile and stated firmly, "There is one thing I can say about that. Miss Sabina always cares deeply for Karen." Hearing this, Fael exhaled in relief. "Right. She is there with him." He smiled softly at Heinrich, adding, "I have written about this in my letters over the past 3 years, but having you confirm it once more puts me at ease." Heinrich chuckled at his reaction. "Miss Sabina always looks out for him, does not she?" Fael asked, a hint of helplessness in his voice. "I suppose the monthly stipend I send helps a little, too," he admitted. Heinrich glanced at him with a teasing smirk. "Seeing you joke like that, I would say it puts you at ease quite a bit." Fael's face darkened slightly as he asked, "But she has not left the Blue Sea Fortress yet?" Heinrich noticed the worry in his tone and reassured him, "There is no need for concern." Seeing Fael's puzzled expression, Heinrich elaborated. "Karen has built such a strong relationship with the Wolf Knights at the Blue Sea Fortress that the Knights even gave him a nickname, though it is a bit irreverent." Fael's eyes widened, speechless at the moniker. "I have heard about it. The little mad dog of the Blue Sea Fortress, right?" At that very moment, atop the Blue Sea Fortress, the training battle raged on with ferocious intensity. Karen kept swinging powerful strikes at his opponent's wooden sword, shattering it instantly. Han held the broken pieces in his hands, exasperated. "Karen, stop, I have lost." But Caron's gaze lingered coldly on the shattered wood, his expression serious. "Han, why did you let me strike just because my blade was slightly off?" Caron's voice was sharp as he questioned him. "Do not you know that in Blue Wolf sword style, holding back makes your technique meaningless? You have to strike back with full force. Why are you so weak?" Han blinked, taken aback by Caron's intense stare, and replied, "I thought only you would dare call me weak." Karen ignored the comment, continuing his scolding. "Your muscles are like a deflating balloon." Han froze, utterly confused. "I have never heard anyone say that before." Karen pointed at himself with a confident grin. "I only speak the truth that no one else dares say." Han shook his head at Caron's antics, trying to rationalize, "Even without magic, I would still lose to you. Last year, it was not even this bad." Then, leaning closer, Han whispered to Karen, "You are about to be sent on a mission." Caron's eyes widened with surprise. "Where did you hear that?" Han hesitated, thinking carefully. "I only know that Rares will decide the timing, acting on behalf of the head of the family in the capital. Probably to the supply depot in the Western Duchy. There have been more monster sightings recently." Hearing he was going on a mission, Caron's excitement erupted. He turned toward the adjacent training field and shouted, "Cousin, we are going on a mission." Leo, in the middle of his own training, frowned at the interruption, muttering to himself, "I do not want to go on a mission with Karen." Their instructor, noticing Leo's distraction, called out firmly, "Master Leo, focus on your combat training." Leo's eyes immediately snapped to the instructor, serious now, but inwardly he thought, "Maybe father and mother will be pleased if I complete this mission perfectly." Meanwhile, in the study, Fael fixed Heinrich with a serious gaze. "Heinrich, I did not call you here about Caron's letter." Heinrich's face registered surprise. "Is there a problem?" Fael handed him a small bag. "Take a look at this." As Heinrich examined the bag, Fael explained, "The family inspector found it in a shipment from Barony Bellis." When Heinrich reached inside to inspect the contents, he froze. Fael's expression was icy and stern. "It is narcotics. Can you investigate Barony Bellis from the Blue Sea Fortress?" Heinrich fell silent, studying the contents carefully, deep in thought. Outside, the night was calm. The train gradually approached the station. A lone man stepped down from the car, his voice low and probing as he surveyed the area. Standing in the shadows, he glanced at the towers ahead and whispered, "So, this is the Blue Sea Fortress." The night sky was silent, the full moon casting a brilliant glow over the rooftops below. On the sprawling castle, guards carried torches, patrolling the grounds. A shadow lurked behind a wall, peering cautiously outside. Karen swayed the bottle in his hand, speaking in a deep voice that made the Rares training hall feel even more intense. He laughed heartily as he walked on. Despite his childlike body, how could he ever forget the taste of good liquor? His steps halted when he noticed the figures of two strangers. "Huh? Who is there? Faces I do not recognize." As the two conversed while walking, Karen suddenly appeared. "The Duke is really away, this is urgent." "Yes, he has gone to the capital to meet His Majesty. For now, the Night Corps is handling the matter under your command," one of them replied. Both of them froze and turned toward Karen. "Ah, young master, why are you here at this hour?" This is Lord Rohan, second son of Baron Bellis. He said he urgently needs to report to the Blue Sea Fortress. Ah, the youngest son. So that must be the son of the third Duke who was removed from the line of succession. I think I have heard that he awakened his magic and is currently training at the private residence Karen Reston. Right, it is an honor to meet you. I am Rohan Bellis. Karen then turned to the man beside him and said, all right, let us hear the details. Perhaps this should be reported to the Knight Commander instead. Wait, no one's going to mention a child holding a bottle of liquor. Karen remained calm, and Rohan froze. If the injuries are minor, a representative would suffice. But since he came all the way here himself, it must be urgent. Then a noble should handle this personally. The other man bowed in acknowledgement. Understood. I will report it directly to Commander Rares. Karen, observing the interaction, noted internally, this kid is not an ordinary noble. So young, yet capable of such political judgment. Though that bottle still bothers me. He then looked at the man and asked, shall we go? Rohan looked slightly anxious, weighing his thoughts. Is it always like this in the Reston household, so young, and already drinking wine, under the starry night? Light spilled from the windows of the estate. Inside the room, the conversation continued. The bandits occupying the eastern mountains of your territory, yes. Yes, that is correct. Karen shook the bottle in his hand, listening closely. And ever since they appeared, narcotics have begun to spread, villagers kidnapped and sold into slavery. Yes. It is embarrassing to admit. But our Bellis territory is poor, the terrain treacherous, and we have had no proper army for years. We could not respond effectively. My father could no longer endure it, so he took what little force we had to attack. But we suffered heavy losses. Father was severely wounded and is now bedridden. Is it all my fault? Was it my incompetence that brought suffering to him and the people? Karen suddenly slammed the bottle onto the table, startling the man. His face darkened with fury as he growled, those bastards deserve to be torn apart. He then calmed his voice slightly, though his words still carried weight. I mean, how could a group of petty bandits withstand a proper army? I am not sure. But I suspect they are deserters from the war in the Southern Kingdom. Deserters from the Southern Kingdom's war? Karen rolled his eyes, thinking. I see now. After the Mad Emperor was deposed, the Imperial army was reduced. Most forces concentrated in the south for the war, leaving nothing for the north. Security gaps were inevitable. He leaned back on the chair, continuing, deserters becoming bandits. Seems like the most plausible explanation. Indeed. Karen lifted the bottle, a playful grin spreading across his face as he spoke to him. You look like you are in a bad mood. How about a drink? Without waiting for Rohan to respond, he poured some into the glass on the table. You might not know this, but Bellis territory borders my father's lands, so this is not something I can ignore. If possible, I would like to lend a hand in person. Rohan picked up the glass, thinking to himself, thank you for the gesture. But should I really drink something handed to me by a child? Karen interrupted him again, making him jump. Oh, and by the way, I buried this bottle inside Commander Rira's training set. So let us keep this just between us. Wait a second. Rares, the famous commander of the Blue Wolf Knights, the door suddenly swung open. I thought we had an agreement that you would not touch my wine anymore. Rohan, startled, quickly stood up to explain. Forgive me, sir, I did not mean any offense. You are a young baron, how was I to know? But do not worry, I have heard about the trouble those bandits are causing you. Rares responded, slightly flustered, yes, that is right. That is why I came here to request that the Blue Wolf Knights personally intervene. He was about to say more when Karen let out a chuckle. Hee hee. Rares then snatched the glass from Caron's hand. I already told you, your age makes drinking wine a bad idea. Ah, my wine. Turning to Rohan, Rares said with a slight bow, apologies for putting the young baron through that. Rohan waved his hand dismissively. It is fine, really. Rares continued, speaking seriously, you have come to the right place. The Blue Sea Fortress won't ignore the difficulties of an old ally. Hearing this, Rohan felt reassured. Rares added to put him further at ease. We have already prepared troops to be dispatched to Bellis territory, so you need not worry. Rohan's face lit up with relief and gratitude. Thank you, sir. Finally, I have some good news to share with the people. Karen suddenly chimed in, Lord Rares, I will go too. Rares immediately rejected the notion. Absolutely not. The enemy is trained, there could be a hidden master among them. Rohan's eyes widened in shock. What? The boy wants to go too. He is training at the private residence, yet he looks barely 12 or 13. His expression tightened with tension. I acknowledge your progress reaching 4th tier mastery and completing the 4th technique of the Blue Wolf sword style in just 3 years, but real combat is an entirely different matter. Rares closed his eyes, looking slightly troubled. You keeping me wrapped up won't help at all. I would rather be sent west. Facing known dangers is better than confronting unknown threats. I won't let you risk me against an enemy of uncertain strength, scale, or location. Caron's excitement immediately surged. Really, he said, beaming. Then what if I make a proposal you can't refuse? Karen suddenly clutched his stomach and giggled, leaving both men frozen in confusion. Leo, disbelief written across his face, asked, why me? Standing beside him, Karen clapped Leo on the shoulder cheerfully. Come on, cousin, lighten up. After all, this is our first mission together. Rares stood aside, observing the two, silently thinking, I have been tricked. The boy had managed to involve Lady Sabina in their scheme. She stood with arms crossed, quietly smiling. Hee, such adorable kids. Rares turned to her, thinking, wait. Maybe this works out. They will have a reliable protector along. She continued to watch the two of them and spoke softly. I remember my first mission, I was just as eager back then. Rares glanced back, seeing that young Master Leo had agreed to accompany them. With this condition, he must be satisfied with their training progress. Rohan observed from the side, watching the four of them. Lady Sabina. The legendary white wolf, but no matter how strong she is, they are still just 2 children. Are we sure this is safe? Caron's voice rang with excitement. I am really looking forward to this trip. If the Duke's youngest son comes to any harm, my entire family will be held responsible. If they were seriously injured. Rohan began anxiously, but someone stepped forward to reassure him, do not worry. Nothing you fear will happen. He quickly turned to Rares and continued to calm Rohan's worries. With Lady Sabina accompanying them, the 2 young masters won't face any danger. Understood. Oh, about that, Rares Sabina's voice cut through, making both Rohan and Leo frown. Unless the children are in life or death danger, I won't intervene. Rohan started to protest. I understand that you trust their growth, but... Sabina interrupted him with a gentle smile. You know, Rares, it is not just that. My dear little one is always bold. She added softly, there is a reason I can't intervene directly. Rares closed his eyes in agreement, while Rohan looked as though he would have been struck by lightning. Understood. If that is truly your intention. Sabina then addressed everyone with a calm, encouraging tone. It is time, is not it? She noticed Leo's nervousness and let out a quiet sigh before speaking. It is natural for you to feel anxious, Leo. He turned to her, puzzled, but her kind smile eased his worry as she explained. Think of this as an opportunity to show how much you have grown over the past 3 years. A chance to be recognized as an official member of the Blue Wolf. Unconsciously, Leo repeated her words to himself. An official member of the Blue Wolf. Suddenly, Leo regained his composure, surprising Karen. Yes, Karen teased him. Cousin, do you always need someone to kick you in the butt before you move? Quiet now, are you ready? Karen smiled and walked ahead. All right, where's our place? Leo followed behind, silently thinking to himself, I knew this day would come. His expression turned serious. I have always known the day would come when I would have to prove myself. A loud announcement echoed through the air. The magical train from the Blue Sea Fortress to Bella's territory is about to depart. As the train began, moving away from the massive castle, Leo murmured to himself, I did not expect the day to come so soon. The train sped through rows of dense green trees. A top-secret mission. Sabina sat inside the carriage, arms crossed, and said, the truth is, my sneaky visit to the Blue Sea Fortress was already a secret, so we can't just show ourselves openly. If I appear, those mountain bandits will vanish without a trace. You would not want that, would you? Rohan avoided her piercing gaze. No, White Wolf. He still looked anxious as he glanced at the two of them. But is it really safe to leave this entirely to these 2 kids? One of them just stares blankly, like he does not know what worry is. Is not this supposed to be his first mission? Rohan's eyes shifted to Leo, and the other one is tense as a drawn bowstring. Leo rested his head against the window, looking sullen. Leo, I truly can't understand what goes on in your head. How can you go back and forth with that brat Karen? Have you forgotten what happened 3 years ago? Remember this, he is not your friend, he is your opponent. 3 years ago, he humiliated you and tarnished your father's honor. And now you still chat and laugh with him like nothing happened. Did you leave your brain for decoration? Speak up and argue if you can. Typical man without ambition. Leo broke into a cold sweat but replied, Mother, I am sorry. But Karen and I are not opponents at all. What? She pressed further, more boldly. Even Hugo, the renowned genius, only reached 3rd star at 14. And Karen reached 4th star at 13. Compared to him, you are 15 this year and only crawling to 3rd star. Do not you see the gap? Karen can be a target to strive for, but you have no chance of being his rival. Leo's mother cast him a sharp glance. Leo, you need to throw away that self-pity. This is not insecurity. The existence of Karen is motivation for you to strive harder, to walk confidently on your own 2 feet. She closed her eyes and let out a sigh. Leo, you only see the tree, not the forest. A voice snapped Leo back to reality. Leo Reston. Yes, madam. Is it really so hard to shake off the tension? He stammered. Yes, that is right. Well, it is your first mission after all. It is natural to be tense. Sabina's next question made Leo pause. But with this head of yours, will you even be able to act against others? Karen stirred slightly, hearing the commotion. You are overthinking things. You do not need to doubt yourself. I know better than anyone how much sweat and effort you have poured in over the past 3 years. After all, I am the one who trained you, are not I? Leo relaxed and smiled. Yes, master. Master, huh, sounds nice. The announcement echoed through the carriage. Sabina stood and moved toward the window. This train will arrive at the Bellis Barony in 20 minutes. During this mission, call each other master and disciple, all right? Yes, master. White Wolf, where are you going? She walked over and opened the window. If I appear at the Barony station, the news will spread immediately. I will slip out ahead. Rohan panicked, but, White Wolf, the train is still moving. Sabina climbed out, leaving everyone shocked. Young Baron, from now on, just call me Lady Sabina. What? No, but. Karen remained calm, sitting and observing. See, the master is as wild as ever. Before leaving, Sabina called back to him. My 2 grandsons will just circle nearby, so do not worry. No one will blame you. Lady Sabina. With a swift motion, she leapt out, leaving the 2 staring wide-eyed in astonishment. Rohan shouted in panic. Lady Sabina, Karen, sitting nearby, laughed heartily, both of them drenched in sweat. In the end, why is everyone in the Reston family so crazy? He sat up on the bed, hand over his mouth as he coughed repeatedly. Cough, cough. My health is not good. I hope the young masters of House Reston will excuse me if I must sit while we speak. Please, do not trouble yourself. How is your wound? Karen asked. The Baron pushed himself upright with his cane. They say I have passed the critical stage. Thank you for your concern. Do you, young Master Karen, remember me? I met you and your father 10 years ago. You have matured splendidly. Lord Raphael must be proud. Karen scratched the back of his neck, embarrassed. Please speak to me plainly. I am not used to formalities, they make me uncomfortable. The Baron smiled and offered, if formalities trouble you, I can call you Master Karen. Karen brightened at that. That would be much easier for me. Master Baron, the man coughed and then continued. Now that you have taken your first mission, you must have reached 4th star with the Zahai style at a very young age. Yeah, cousin Leo is still stuck at 3rd star. He is no warrior, yet he somehow seizes the initiative. The Baron laughed. In any case, the family head must hold you in high regard to send you both here. And for that reason, I feel uneasy giving such a dangerous mission to 2 promising young men. Karen answered steadily, I understand your concern, but if we fail, won't that stain the pride of the Lam Lang? We have no intention of failing. He turned to Leo, who blinked in surprise. Is not that right, cousin? Huh, yes, we will finish the mission, certainly. The Baron coughed again, clutching his chest and laughing weakly. Ha ha, thank you for saying that. Rohan stood nearby, worried. Father, are you all right? Seeing the Baron, Rohan suggested they take their leave. It seems the Baron needs rest. We should be going. Then I entrust this to you. Your guide is waiting. Follow him. Yes, sir. Amid the wide, majestic snow mountains, Karen turned to Leo. What is wrong? Already worn out? Leo asked something that made Karen pause. No. But can we really trust that man who claims to be an herbalist guide? Leo voiced his suspicion. Even if he is a guide sent by the young Baron who knows the terrain, there is no guarantee he is not one of the bandits, Leo said. Karen chuckled. So you finally used your head. You are right, he could be part of the raiding gang. Leo's surprise was mild. What? How did you know? Karen assumed a solemn face and replied, from the conversation between me and the Lord at the station. Leo frowned. What conversation? At the station earlier, Lord Rohan had asked, "How do you plan to find the bandits' lair?" The guide had stammered. Well. We will have to make use of a traitor inside the territory." Karen had smiled wryly. Using a traitor is, well, a clever method. Back in the present, he added, that is basically it. Why did not you tell me? Leo hesitated. Because all day today you have been wound tight as a string. Karen snorted. So the Lord intentionally planted a traitor with us. He is cunning enough to keep a turncoat close by to use against the rest. Caron's grin widened. Exactly. That he has been allowed to operate freely says everything. They are in a bind. That is why we are the bait, noble heirs passing through the Baron's lands en route to nearby regions. A perfect setup, right? If they capture the two of us, they can demand a huge ransom. Karen strode forward and warned Leo behind him. Looks like they are about to spring the trap. A group suddenly appeared in front of them. A burly man with a mean face handed a pouch to Sven. Good work, Sven. Because you are the bot's kin, I threw in extra. Thanks. One of the gang pointed at the two boys and said, Bot, these spoiled rich kids do not look like the obedient sort. Karen stepped in front of Leo. Scum like you. His eyes flared with lethal intent. How dare you trade in contraband in my father's territory? Karen lunged forward, swinging his sword in a flurry that tore through the bandits, blood spattering everywhere and leaving Leo frozen in shock. Sven crumpled to the cold snow, tears streaming down his face. Monster, he whispered, staring wide-eyed at Karen as the boy fought. His expression blackened. Karen really is a monster. One of the men on the outskirts was struck by the spray of blood. Panicked, he hissed to his companion, Bot, I do not think these guys are small time. Maybe we should fall back and call in our unit. Damn it. The warning only stoked his fury. I won't be bested by some snot-nosed brat, Captain. He lunged at Karen, shouting, Let me teach you a lesson, you little. He leapt high, brandishing two weapons, his whole body radiating murderous intent. Karen did not flinch. With a casual, precise motion he struck back and sent the man flying. Noisy, Karen said, voice edged with menace. A single descending slash cut from crown to body. The captain collapsed into the snow as blood fountained across the white ground. Leo stared at the blade in disbelief. When did I draw my sword? He murmured. Karen flicked the sword once and complained, my clothes are ruined. He sheathed the blade. Leo's face showed deep unease. It is not just the kid, there is a killing aura coming off that blade like it wants to swallow everything. He clutched his throat, gasping. Feels like I could be beheaded any second. Spare us, the lone surviving thug scrambled, hopping about begging for his life. We surrender. Karen rested the sword on his shoulder, arrogant. Really, what is your name? The man stammered. Why yes, my name is Urha. Caron's eyes snapped bright, his face darkening. Alright, Urha, do you have rope? I do, Urha said, trembling. At Caron's command he handed over a length of rope. Urha tied Caron's hands first, then did the same to himself. Leo was bound in the same manner. Karen, do we really have to go this far? Leo protested. Binding them is one thing, but must we force this guy to carry our weapons? Karen explained calmly. I told you if we are bait, we need to act the part. If we are captured but still brandishing weapons, who'll believe it? We need the scene to be convincing. They walked on, quietly plotting. Urha, put to the front, swallowed nervously. Only then will the story of our capture and escort look plausible. Otherwise, how could a guy like him drag the two of his kids away? It would not make sense. Caron's sudden command made Urha jump. So on the way, we will squeeze some information out of him. Urha, yes, Karen asked. He continued, you are deserters, right? Urha blurted everything he knew. Yes, we were in the 1st Battalion, 9th Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division of the Kingdom of Chios. He said it seriously, Chios, that is from the Southern Front. Karen pressed on. How many troops do you have, total? Urha rattled off the numbers he knew, including 1 mage and 2 escort knights. We number about 130. 1 mage, Karen echoed. Yes. After answering, Urha turned away in fear. 130 deserters, damn wrong target. I thought we were just dealing with 2 spoiled noble kids. He remained lost in thought, oblivious to the voices around him, his eyes still glowing with the same blue magical aura from earlier. A mage. Did you say? He muttered. They must be descendants of the Reston family, the heart of the Oria's empire. This time, Leo asked, but even if you are deserters, why come all the way up here to the north? That Well, that is. Urha stammered, trembling. Our commander promised to help us earn enough to live comfortably for the rest of our lives. Karon's brow furrowed with suspicion. A low-ranking infantry commander with a mage backing him, if money's the goal, why commit robbery in the impoverished lands of Baron Bellis? As Karen pondered this, Urha suddenly gave a startled noise. Something feels off here. He stopped abruptly, addressing the two boys. We are almost there, young masters. Karen remained calm, but Leo's face tensed. Let us just see it through and find out, he muttered. The trio arrived at the outpost, where a few guards were stationed. From above, a voice called down, "What is happening?" Urha, you actually captured a hostage. Shut up, Karen snapped, while both watched from the higher ground. Wait, what about the others? Why are you alone? And what is with all the weapons you are carrying? The voice asked. Urha tilted his head nonchalantly. What else? I took them from these kids, of course. Now this is all my glory. The rest are chasing the fleeing escorts of these kids. Open the gate now. A guard bellowed, open the main gate. Rushed, are not they? Urha ignored the mocking tone and stepped inside eagerly, anticipating praise from his captain. The board gate guard muttered, yeah. I wish he would brought the hostage back sooner. Urha cut him off sharply. Quiet. Karen followed behind, observing and thinking, this thief's surprisingly easy to intimidate. He sensed a power emanating from Urha, his body sweating profusely. Why does this give me the chills? Guillotine reacted as well. Perhaps Leo's worry had alerted him to something. Ahead, a dead crow was impaled on a tall wooden post. They do not hide their offerings, Karen noted grimly. Suddenly, a magic circle appeared in the center of the wide courtyard, dark mage of Baron Bellis territory. The sound of coughing grew worse. At home, Rohan anxiously poured water for his father. Father, are you all right? I am fine, the Baron wheezed, taking the cup, his face weary. Rohan pressed the glass to his lips. Here, drink a little to soothe your throat. Thanks, son. Rohan hesitated, then asked, Father, do you think those two young masters will be okay? The Baron stared at the cup thoughtfully. Sending two boys into our territory without precise intel on the bandits, this shows just how much the Blue Sea Fortress trusts them. And that boy Karen. The Baron's eyes gleamed with conviction. That boy reminds me of Duke Halo in his youth, not just in appearance, but in confidence, composure, and that carefree, heroic attitude. We can fully rely on these two boys. Yes, father. Meanwhile, in the snow-covered mountains, green plants lay buried under the white blanket, soon splattered with red streaks of blood. Karen swung his sword ruthlessly against the surrounding bandits. His eyes flashed, a twisted smile playing across his lips. A magic array suddenly flared up on the ground before the three of them. A groan came from inside. Cut my bonds, my sword can do it. Karen blinked in surprise. He glanced at Leo. Cousin, draw your sword. Leo startled. What? He tightened his grip on guillotine. You will need it soon. Still puzzled, he asked, what do you mean? From the array, a cluster of dried bones burst up. Karen jerked back, a cold breath running down his spine. 13 skeletal figures, fully armed with swords and shields, now stood between them. Someone shouted, the hostage crawled into our trap, heavens have favored us. A line of archers took positions above, and a tall man in the middle sneered down at them. Welcome to my mountain camp, he announced arrogantly. The spoiled nobles Karen thought no sign of the black mage yet. He was probably hiding somewhere muttering incantations. Unpredictable, all of them. Karen shoved guillotine against Urha's throat. If you try anything, I will slit this one's throat. How about that? Urha flinched. My lord. Leo, beside him, felt humiliated. What? Holding a hostage's throat? What happened to noble honor? The tall man went quiet and stared at the bound Urha, visibly taken aback by the sight. You nobles take hostages. Are not you supposed to value honor over life? Karen pressed the blade a fraction closer. So, not allowed, the man trembled. A young noble from the band tried to laugh it off awkwardly. You are funny. But you are wrong, a useless hostage is worthless. That one's of no value, do whatever you like with him. Karen snorted and re-sheathed his sword. Worthless, then. Urha, the bound man whimpered when Karen sheathed the blade. I am sorry, my lord. Leo kept watch warily. Karen, we are outnumbered. What is the plan? Karen smirked. Of course there is a plan. Confident, he added, we just need to take out that commander. A blue mana glinted from his pupils. The commander flinched. Blue mana, impossible. Karen turned to Leo. You take care of the rest. Leo blinked. What did you say? Mana erupted around Karen. Clutching guillotine, he declared, I will handle the commander myself. He lunged forward as a ring of mana spun into the air and shot toward the man in command. Karen, someone yelled. At that instant, a skeletal warrior lunged and brought its blade down. Karen parried quickly. Karen, what on earth are you thinking? Leo shouted, alarmed. How can I possibly face all these soldiers alone, he thought. As Karen surged, the commander cried, shoot him, fire. Karen laughed in contempt. Too late. He unleashed the sea wolf sword technique, and several archers below found their arms severed by blades. Borrowing momentum, he shot upward. The commander howled, you brat. Karen slashed disdainfully, what a nuisance. In a heartbeat, he severed the man's right hand. The commander fell to his knees, screaming in agony. Karen landed in front of him and stepped close. If you want to attack, hurry up. The man spat back through clenched teeth, you bastard. Resentment filled his eyes. The Blue Sea Fortress does not have spare troops to intervene in other domains. Then Caron's memory snapped into place, of course. This barony borders my father's lands. Karen reassured him, relax, I won't kill you. I am just taking you back to the Blue Sea Fortress. His gaze swept downward with admiration. What, not bad. Leo down there is handling 13 skeletons all on his own. He muttered to himself, that is right, true to the sea wolf's sword, just crush them with full force. The man tried to menace him. Do you really think you will leave here alive? Karen finally looked him squarely in the eyes. What is your name? Sweat beading on his forehead, the man stammered, M.I. Michael. Michael Knox. Before he could finish, Karen drove guillotine into his feet. Michael shrieked in pain. The archers above went pale, trembling in fear. Caron's grin spread wide, almost maniacal. Tell your men to drop their weapons. Michael shouted, drop your weapons. Faster, Karen urged, drawing his sword. Good. That is what I like. Glaring with murderous intent, Michael said, I can't believe we lost to a pair of kids. Even you could not resist them, even though you are from the Reston family. Karen tilted his head down at him. Looks like you still have some growing to do, huh? He turned to Leo. And do not tell me you were counting on that black mage. Karen sneered. You really think our family would send only 2 kids? Once the skeletons were dealt with, Leo wiped his sweat as the magic array vanished. Suddenly, an explosive boom thundered from behind. Karen continued, of course, they would have guards. The outer fence is breached thanks to you. I wasted time and let the black mage slip away. A female figure entered, holding a severed head in her hand. Sabina. She walked in silently. Leo's face lit up. Ah, master. Caron's mouth dropped open. Oh. The black mage's head. She spoke coldly, Karen Reston, Leo Reston. She evaluated them sharply. You let the most crucial evidence slip. The mission has failed. Karen clicked his tongue and kicked Michael down. The man collapsed face first into the snow. Karen followed behind. But master. You like it this way, do not you? Sabina sighed in resignation. Charging headfirst into the tiger's den just like your father. She tossed the black mage's head aside. Because of that, I will give you credit. Truly worthy of the Reston family. She added, but the staged hostage bit, that is a demerit. Karen sheathed guillotine. Michael trembled, staring at the severed head. Sabina raised an eyebrow. Why did you bother with the hostage act? Karen explained, I wanted to strike at their blind spot. Who would expect nobles to take a hostage? Sabina nodded in approval. That part, I agree with. Then she shook her head in disbelief. Karen. I have never seen anyone like you. Truly a madman. Karen smiled. Thank you, master. Michael quaked. These maniacs. Are they really nobles? Sabina ordered, let us return to Lord Bella's castle. I have many questions to ask. Karen obeyed. Yes, master. Michael muttered in fear, the Reston kids. They really are insane. A man came running to the door and called out, 7th son Isabel. The boy answered, yes. They embraced tightly. The father wept, I am sorry I could not protect you. The boy trembled, Father, I was so scared. Watching from outside, Karen looked over at Erha with a mixture of pity and scorn. Feeling guilty now, Erha forced a reply, well, yes. Karen shoved Erha's shoulder. Feeling guilty already? Being thrown into Baron Bellis's jail with your comrades might turn out to be a bargain. Urha flinched. What? Karen explained. You are coming to the Blue Sea Fortress with your captain, right? Urha panicked. What? Sabina stepped forward, arms folded. Are you sure Karen did not tie him up too tight? She asked. He answered obediently, for now it is fine. Besides, we need someone to carry that man to the fortress. But do not let your guard down. Understand? Urha hurriedly agreed. The father earlier asked hesitantly, Sir, will he be punished as well? Karen replied, by rights, he is a bandit. The man, uneasy, said, May I speak? He actually took very good care of us while we were imprisoned. Isabel chimed in, he secretly brought medicine to the sick. He gave his rations to the hungry. Please show him mercy. She turned to Karen, what do you think? Karen decided. Temporarily consider leniency. After all, he led us to their lair. Urha declared, moved, I vowed to serve you faithfully for life, young master. Karen scolded, I told you, do not drop your guard. From above, Leo called down, Karen, you should see this. Curiosity on his face, Karen climbed up to look. What is going on? He asked. Leo pointed. Karen stepped closer, startled and wary at the sight of a crate glowing with blue light. This is mana stone, inside are blocks of integrated black crystals. Later, the bandits were led away and the villagers cursed them. Serves you right, filthy thieves. Leo asked, curious, Karen, will the Lord throw a banquet for us? Karen, are you listening? Someone snapped. Karen, impatient, said, you are daydreaming. There is a reason a large bandit crew would hide in the remote mountains of Baron Bellis. The Baron's family may not even know there is a mana stone mine on their land. I do not know the ore's quality yet, but just the existence of a mine could be immensely profitable. Leo looked at Karen with unease. What are you scheming now? Sabina spoke up. The Lord has come to greet us. Rohan stood in the distance and welcomed them warmly. Welcome, everyone. Someone ordered, lock the prisoners in the dungeon. Sabina interjected, Lord, we will be taking that man, the bandit leader, with us. You have no objections? Rohan agreed, of course not. Ah, Lady Sabina, I have a request. She waved him off, I am only here as guardian, speak to my students. Rohan turned to Karen and Leo, then I have prepared a small banquet, shall we eat and talk? They declined. Sorry, but we must head back to the Blue Sea Fortress immediately. Let us do the talking now. Rohan was surprised. Is that so? Actually, it is about the payment for the mission. Our barony can't afford the customary fee for the fortress's help right now, so I would like to ask for a delay in payment. Caron's face hardened. Leo tensed at that expression. Karen spoke calmly, I have been wondering why the bandits chose to establish their stronghold in Baron Bellis's territory. Rohan furrowed his brow. What do you mean? Karen sneered, think about it. Baron Bellis's lands are remote, barren, with no local specialties. It is literally a backwater village, is not it? Rohan silently told himself, stay calm, stay calm. Karen continued, sure enough, what they were really after is something else. Rohan tilted his head in suspicion. You mean? Karen produced a mana stone. Exactly. Do you know about mana stone? Rohan's eyes widened in shock. Absolutely not, I had no idea there was a mana stone mine on my land. Caron's expression brightened with satisfaction. That is why I want to make a proposal. Rohan asked cautiously, a proposal? Karen laid it out, let us cooperate with the Blue Sea Fortress to develop the mine. Provided the fortress provides initial funding and security forces. Rohan's mind raced in horror. Does this boy even understand what he is saying? Never mind mine development, just the costs of storage facilities and maintaining guards would be staggering. Karen persisted, even just having a house like the Restons hold shares in our mine could bring enormous benefits. Perhaps he has already calculated all this, but who gave this boy the audacity to negotiate such a major issue himself? I will need to report it first, but if the project is approved, the Sea Guard Knights could be stationed here, Karen continued. That would boost the local economy and solve our defense concerns in one stroke. Rohan sighed. Then how much of the mine's shares does the Duke want? Karen smiled faintly. That is for you to discuss with my father. After all, a child like me is not qualified to handle business details. Rohan nodded. I understand. I will discuss it with my father. Karen replied politely. Yes, I will contact you again soon. Sabina, standing silently beside them, let out a thoughtful sigh. Under the full moon, a voice rang out. Master, Karen inquired clearly, may I ask why at the bandits' lair you said things could get complicated? Sabina answered calmly, that is because of this one. Leo, holding a bag, looked at Sabina. Do you mean the dark sorcerer you defeated? She explained, he is not just a petty dark sorcerer. Master, I do not understand, Leo said. Sabina clarified, he is Ted Delaharda, a second-tier wanted criminal in the Empire and a level 6 dark sorcerer. Karen gasped, a second-tier wanted criminal. She looked at him intently. Yes. A level 2 fugitive running rampant in Imperial territory alongside deserters from the Southern Kingdom. Yet you and Leo were busy dealing with small fry and did not notice such a critical matter. Right, remember, one only grows stronger by facing powerful opponents. If you had taken down the dark sorcerer first, you would not have wasted time on the small fry. That is why I consider this mission a failure. Keep that in mind. Karen bowed his head. Yes, Master. Leo pouted. Why do I feel left out here? Then Sabina called his name, and you, Leo. Startled, he responded, yes, Master. She praised him, you performed better than I expected. This is your first time facing the Wraiths, is not it? You should have more confidence in yourself. Leo straightened up. Yes, Master. At the Blue Sea Fortress, reports echoed, the young lords have returned. Heinrich respectfully greeted the returning head of the household. Halo probed, anything unusual? The report came, the knights deployed to the west have returned. Young lords Leo and Karen are returning from their mission in Baron Bellis's territory, accompanied by Miss Sabina. Good, very well, understood, Halo responded. Suddenly, someone ran in, panicked. Lord. Halo's tone turned sharp. What is all the commotion? A subordinate presented a letter from the Imperial Palace. Halo froze. A letter from the palace. Elsewhere, a train hurtled along the tracks at high speed. Halo, anxious, muttered to himself, His Majesty is personally summoning Karen to the capital. At this moment, Karen sat on the train, resting his chin on his hand as he gazed out the window. In the dark of night, at the dock, the train was slowly beginning to move. He carried the weak man who had been beaten earlier over his shoulder. The traitor spoke up, is this the Blue Sea Fortress? The captured leader cut in sharply, hey, do not tell me you actually believe that brat. You are about to go to prison too, so listen carefully, if you want to survive, we need to wait until they let their guard down in. Before he could finish, Karen slammed a fist down in anger and shouted, silence, do you think I would listen to someone calling me useless and deserving of punishment? Leo, overhearing the quarrel, muttered curiously, what is wrong with him? From behind, Fael stepped forward and spoke, it is noisy around you as usual. Karen. He approached, draping a hand over Caron's shoulder with a smile. You really are a strange one. Are you doing well, miss? Sabina responded, fairly well, Fael. Looks like your brother is calling for you. Fael straightened. Probably because of the mess that boy caused in Baron Bellis's territory. Really a headache, she teased. But it looks like you are quite proud of yourself. Suddenly, Leo bowed politely. How have you been lately? Fael's expression softened. I heard that Leo performed exceptionally in the Duke's territory, word even reached me. I am sure my brother has heard as well. He will be very pleased. Leo scratched his head, embarrassed at the praise. Yes, Fael, surely everyone must be tired. Let us head upstairs. Fael and Sabina lingered behind, conversing quietly. She spoke first. The political situation in the Empire seems unstable. Do you know anything about it? Fael sighed thoughtfully. All the powerful noble houses, except ours, are quickly forming alliances, centering on the Duchy of Salmon and the Marquisate of Diaz. Father has been meeting with various noble families in the capital to gauge the situation, but it seems he cancelled all of them after a less than pleasant discussion with His Majesty. Salmon and Diaz, they're key players in overthrowing the tyrant and placing the current emperor on the throne. Now they hold the real power in the empire. Sabina reflected, your brother withdrew from the center of power after the tyrant was deposed. He believed it was best for the empire's future. Yet here we are, treated this way. She continued, it seems the era of peace is about to end. Fael murmured in agreement, yes. Like it or not, it is time for our family to act. Sabina assessed, perhaps what your son did will benefit us. It gives us a legitimate reason to station troops in another family's territory and expand our influence. Your son is intriguing. He accomplished something beneficial for the family at just the right moment. Fael scratched his head modestly. You are flattering me. It was not a big deal. She scoffed. I was not praising you. The group approached Rares, who spoke with approval. Well done. I have heard about the achievements of the two young lords. You defeated a band of deserters. Karen, pleased, pointed, the one being carried over there as their leader. Rares nodded. Understood. We will begin interrogation while he is still weak. We need to extract everything possible, Karen. Han, standing behind, asked curiously, by the way, who is carrying the head of the bandit gang? Karen turned his head in the direction indicated and said, ah, that one. He is also a bandit, take him away. The traitor grew anxious. Sir. Karen interrupted, firm but calm, but he is our informant. Show him mercy and release him afterward. I heard he could be used as a personal servant, and he agreed, someone added. I understand, Karen replied, waving his hand dismissively. Now, let us go inside and rest. Rares stopped him. Your mission is not over yet. You still need to submit a report. This is to review your task and improve performance in the future. Karen blinked in surprise. Wait, Rares. Do not tell me each of you has to write your own separate report, Rares continued. You two can write it together. Caron's face lit up. Perfect, I have done all the heavy work. Let my cousin handle the writing. Leo hesitated. Would not it be faster if we wrote it together? Karen clapped him on the shoulder. Think about it once the report is submitted. Rares will read it, right? Just focus on detailing your own impressive efforts. This is the perfect opportunity to score points with him. Leo raised an eyebrow. Really, if my name shows up too often, it might backfire. Rares sighed in resignation. Just proceed. Lock the prisoner up. Yes, Captain, Ha acknowledged. Sabina stepped forward, tossing a bag toward Rares. Here's the head of a wanted criminal. Deal with it. Rares took it, startled, as she turned and waved goodbye. Also, consider the kid's report as mine to settle things quickly. After that, everyone dispersed. Karen cheered Leo on as he happily began writing. Leo asked, where are you going? To the training room. I have reached 4-star rank, so I can train alone now, Karen replied confidently. Rares gave a dry laugh. Coming straight from your first mission to the training room, how can a 13-year-old do that? He watched Caron's brazen figure in admiration. Inside the palace, a commanding voice echoed. The reason I have summoned everyone at this late hour is due to information obtained during the hunt. Recently, more monsters have been appearing around the Blue Sea Fortress, Heinrich, the speaker said. Yes, my lord, Heinrich responded, nodding. Halo commanded, summon the Knight Captains. Understood, Heinrich replied. Rares reported, I have brought the item you requested, my lord. Halo accepted it and examined it carefully. This is a piece of skin taken from a monster appearing in the western rice fields. At first glance, it seems ordinary. He opened it for everyone to see. His voice was serious. But the dark energy within this skin is far from ordinary. It contains the dark magic of the tyrant. Raphael's face froze at the revelation, his eyes widening in shock. Thales' expression was no better. Phael turned pale, stammering, the tyrant passed away long ago. If his dark magic is present in these monsters, that means... Halo interjected, there are two possibilities. Either his malicious will lingers in the world, or the tyrant is still alive. Regardless, the conclusion is that this is connected to the events unfolding within the Empire. Furthermore, it seems the news from Baron Bellis's territory has reached His Majesty. He has summoned Karen to the capital. Phael's face went pale at the words, tense and serious. Halo folded his arms, but I cannot send Karen alone to the palace. I plan to have Leo and the Seawolf Knights accompany him, of course, only if the boy agrees. Phael remained stunned. If he does not wish to go, I will not force him, Halo said coldly. No other issues, correct? Rares, escorting Karen, nodded in obedience. Yes, my lord. Halo added, he is still just a child. More importantly, I need to know what he thought when making the agreement with young Baron Bellis. On a moonlit night, with the cool breeze flowing, the air was unusually quiet. Karen sat in deep concentration, practicing his magic with unwavering focus. Energy radiated outward from his body, pulsating with power. Since when did you get here? He asked, glancing over. Rares leaned against the wall, arms crossed. I just arrived myself. Karen slowly stood, his gaze sharp. I have heard that only family members and you, Rares, are allowed in this training chamber, but I have never seen you here before. You must have some urgent matter to come all the way here, right? Rares remained silent for a long moment before speaking. It seems, young master, that you will soon be heading to the capital. Caron's face showed genuine shock. The capital. Yes, Rare is confirmed. The head of the family has summoned you for a clan meeting. You will hear the details directly from him. Without another word, the two walked together in silence. A servant opened the door to announce, young Master Karen has arrived. Halo, seated in the empty chair, lifted his chin. I hear you performed exceptionally on your first mission. Karen responded obediently, yes, grandfather. Halo's expression darkened with seriousness. I have summoned you because of the situation in the Bellis territory. You had no authority to represent the family in trade matters, so why did you make an agreement with the Bellis house on your own? Karen thought to himself, I thought I would be praised, and instead I am being scolded like this. Halo continued, do not you realize that your arrogant attitude seriously offended the Bellis family? Karen replied clearly, no, my lord. I simply proposed an agreement with the future Baron of the Bellis house. He voluntarily accepted my proposal, and I believed there was something even more important than the usual noble formalities. Halo's eyes widened in surprise. Something more important than protocol to a noble. Caron's gaze was cold but resolute as he enunciated each word, the honor of the family. His firm declaration made everyone in the room turn to look at him. Halo paused, impressed by the boy's conviction. In terms of the value of the agreement, the boy could have boasted about his achievements. Yet he chose to emphasize the family's benefit and step back. Truly a display of remarkable prudence. Everyone in the room silently assessed him. Karen, noticing some wary glances, frowned in disdain. Those two are still being cautious. Halo interrupted his thought. Very well. In the end, the agreement you brought back will yield tremendous benefits for our family. Fael, you handle the negotiations. Let me bask in the glory of my son's accomplishments that won't be so bad, right? Yes, father. I will depart for the Bellis territory first thing tomorrow morning, Fael replied. Halo, closing his eyes in fatigue, opened a piece of paper. Now, about the letter from His Majesty. The Emperor has summoned you. It seems your reputation has reached the capital. Karen fell silent, contemplating. Rare is added, the Emperor's letter reached the Blue Sea Fortress before your grandfather returned. The Royal Intelligence Network is really that formidable, Karen thought. No, the current Emperor is just a figurehead. It must be the network of wealthy nobles behind him. The two exchanged looks, each lost in their own thoughts. Halo reassured Karen gently, if you do not wish to go, there is no need. He seemed to understand that the boy already grasped the implications of traveling to the capital at this time. The nobles in the capital likely want to scrutinize him. Perhaps it is better not to draw attention, so he does not need to go, Halo mused. Fael smiled wryly, puzzled. Father, if that is the case, why offer him a choice at all? Karen spoke up, the Emperor himself has summoned me, so of course I must go. Besides, it has been a long time since I last saw grandfather. But I will be going alone. Cousin Leo went on the mission with me, he added, hesitantly. Halo explained, if you go, Leo will accompany you. In addition, Han's team will escort both of you. Karen was surprised. But grandfather is already there. Do we really need an escort? Halo's tone was blunt. It is not about spoiling you. It is because I do not know what other antics you two might get up to. Karen swallowed hard. Understood. He then ordered, you two may leave. You will depart for the capital in 3 days. Yes, grandfather, Karen replied obediently. During the day, sunlight filled the room warmly as Rohan spoke. I believe we can conclude the negotiations here. Thank you all for your efforts in these discussions, Your Grace, said the young Baron, signaling the end of the meeting. Fael asked, young Baron Bellis, did your father approve of these terms? He nodded confidently. Of course. My father agreed to them as well. Fael analyzed. The mine shares are divided 80 for Bellis and 20 for us. With the massive profits from the magical stones, even a small portion grants considerable economic power. But I can't understand the clause granting 5 shares to Karen and Leo. Is not that extremely favorable to them? Surely it puts the Bellis family at a disadvantage. There is no denying the children fulfilled your requests admirably, but this reward seems overly generous. Rohan smiled faintly. It is to win the loyalty of the young wolves and Leo. Fael fell silent, impressed by the candidness. He does not even bother hiding his intentions. Rohan elaborated, Bellis is making an investment. One day, one of these 2 children may lead the Blue Sea Fortress. Fael's eyes widened in surprise. He is that confident in their potential. Rohan continued, indeed. Such a bold decision. Baron Bellis has raised a capable son. Rohan smiled. I am no match for your judgment, your grace. Let us see what the children think, he said, turning his attention to them. Caron's expression darkened instantly. Of course, we. Leo hesitated, then, seeing Caron's glare, carefully phrased his words. We gladly accept, and hope to continue a strong and lasting relationship in the future. The Baron responded politely. It is an honor for me to cooperate with such a distinguished family. Later, outside the train station, Leo asked curiously, Karen, I have a question, how should we divide the shares we received? Karen replied casually, causing Leo to blanch, obviously, 9 for me, 1 for you. Leo protested, why do you get so much? Karen scowled, stepping closer and raising his fist. Have you lost your mind lately, speaking to me like that, huh? Leo stammered, and no. Of course, I get 9, Karen warned. If you ever go back on this, just wait and see. Leo, trembling, nodded. All right. Fael, watching them, chuckled. These two used to bicker constantly as kids, yet now they are inseparable. He smiled warmly, looking at the pair with genuine fondness. Leo exclaimed, I can't believe it. We are actually going to the capital. I have only heard about it secondhand. What should we do now, Karen? He asked nervously. From across the room came Caron's voice, calm and teasing. Cousin, tone it down a bit. Leo, sitting on a chair facing him, protested, we are going to meet the Emperor himself. Is not it fine to get a little excited? True, Karen replied with a sigh. Leo covered his face, blushing. We will be attending social gatherings too, right? I have heard the capital is full of beauties. Karen muttered under his breath, he does not even. At that moment, a voice came from the window. Sabina called out, Decus is quite an interesting place, full of people and powerful warriors. Leo looked up and asked, Master, how are you up there? She did not answer, only remarking, it will be a good experience. Sabina then moved from the window toward the table. Do not you have a drink? I have come to congratulate you both on your first mission, she said. Leo quickly stood to offer her a chair. Karen added, teasingly, Master, are you seriously looking for a drink in the room of a 13-year-old? He also noted he only had a cup of water. Sabina picked up the cup and replied calmly, as long as it can hold alcohol, any cup will do. She handed each of them a cup. I will let Karen slide this time after all. He has stolen wine like it is nothing. Leo took the cup, startled by her remark. Seeing his expression, Sabina asked if he had ever tasted alcohol. Leo admitted honestly, yes, Karen let me try a few times. Sabina sighed. So he has already roped you into being his accomplice. Karen laughed. It is more fun to get in trouble together, is not it? Still, Sabina poured wine into Leo's cup. Here, Leo. Drink, this is from your master, do not be polite. She poured one for Karen as well, praising both for their exceptional growth. Karen, modestly, credited Sabina for their training. Once finished, Sabina set the bottle down. 3 years promised to my brother, and now it is over. She admitted with a hint of regret that she would not get to witness the chaos these two would cause in the capital. Leo choked up, calling softly, Master. Tears welled in his eyes. I heard you are going back to the North Sea. Does that mean we won't see you again? Karen, seeing his cousin's expression, sighed deeply. Sabina, observing Leo's whimpering, scolded gently, acting this way won't help you talk to the noble ladies in the capital. She added advice for Leo, if he ever attends a party, it is best not to go with Karen. Both boys were taken aback. Leo asked, what do you mean? Sabina explained bluntly, look at him. With Caron's talent and silver tongue, you have no idea what will happen. Picture the noblewomen flocking around Karen. Leo shuddered at the thought, stepping up to shrug Karen. Karen, please do not interfere with my love life. Karen snapped angrily, where do you think you are going, you silly fool? Seeing the commotion, Sabina called for quiet. All right, cousin, stop talking nonsense, just drink. Meanwhile, under the candlelight and the calm night, Halo sat alone, sipping his wine quietly in the room. A knock came at the door. Father, it is Fael, came the voice. Fael stepped inside respectfully. You summoned me. Yes. I heard the negotiations with House Bellis concluded successfully, Halo replied. I did not expect them to concede a portion of their shares to Karen and Leo. Fael agreed, noting that the young baron's opinion clearly carried considerable weight. It is an investment in the future, Fael added. Halo nodded thoughtfully. Baron Bellis has certainly raised a sharp-minded son. He continued, in any case, things went smoothly. Securing a powerful ally is never a bad thing. He then told Fael that from now on, all matters concerning House Bellis would be entrusted to him. Fael responded solemnly, promising not to disappoint his father. Halo poured a glass of wine and handed it to Fael. Here, take this. Thank you, father, Fael replied, sensing that his father likely had more to say. Halo was rarely generous with praise, and it probably related to Caron's upcoming trip to the capital. As expected, Halo spoke. Fael, as you know, His Majesty has never personally summoned any member of the family besides me. He paused, then added, from that perspective, Caron's trip to the capital is highly unusual. Fael immediately guessed the topic was about Karen. Halo continued, revealing that during a recent private meeting, he had seen fear in the Emperor's eyes when looking at him. It must have stemmed from the terror that I could depose him, as I did with the tyrant, Halo said. And that is why he suspects the involvement of another force in all this. Fael asked bluntly, do you believe there is a political conspiracy behind this? I do, Halo confirmed. Fael reasoned that, given the political climate in the capital with the powerful houses scheming, Halo could have refused the Emperor's request outright. Yet he did not. Halo nodded, agreeing. Fael then asked why he had not. Halo explained that he wanted to see Caron's abilities firsthand. This revelation surprised Fael. According to Halo, Karen had been chosen by Guillotine, the sacred sword of the family's founder, marking him as a central figure in the Reston family's destiny. Moreover, as a member of the Reston line, Karen would inevitably face challenges from external powers. Fael realized that the boy would continually encounter danger and threats. Halo elaborated, that is also why I did not refuse the Emperor's request. To bear the future of this family, the boy must endure such pressure. Then he asked Fael, are you worried? Fael downed his glass of wine in one gulp. Seeing this, Halo could only sigh, saying nothing further. Fael spoke up, determination in his voice, Father, you have made it clear that you trust Karen. Seeing his son's resolute attitude, Halo said nothing more, only letting out a quiet sigh and smiling with confidence in him. Good answer, Halo remarked. As dawn broke, Sabina, accompanied by her horse, prepared to leave. Rares asked if she was not going to see Karen and Leo off. She thought for a moment, then replied, no need. Last night was already enjoyable enough, sharing Rares's wine with them. Rares could only sigh helplessly at Sabina's response. He had not expected her to leave on the final night without letting up. Sabina added, besides, the kids will be busy today preparing to depart for the capital. It is better if I leave quietly. She mounted her horse and offered a brief farewell. I look forward to the day we meet again. Rares mentally noted to stock up on more wine by then. As Sabina prepared to ride away, she noticed a figure watching from the upper floor. Karen. The boy bowed slightly in greeting, and she returned his smile. Without another word, she readied her horse and said, until we meet again. Then, before leaving, Sabina left a letter for Karen. I am returning to Beihai now. That place is like home to me, so you are welcome to come by anytime you like. I will wait for you, along with some good wine, Karen murmured, recalling the letter's contents with a smile. He stood quietly, watching as Sabina and her horse gradually disappeared into the distance. He had not expected her to leave for Beihai with nothing but a single letter. Karen realized that now his mentor had departed, and he guessed that the others would begin taking action. At that moment, someone called his name. Thales. I heard she is gone, Thales said. Karen looked surprised at seeing him. Just like they say about Cao Cao. He appears the moment he is mentioned. On the day Karen and Leo were set to depart, the steward's voice echoed through the hall. The young master's luggage has all been loaded onto the carriage. Steward, and their formal and casual attire, surely you have not forgotten those, Karen asked. Of course, everything has been packed, came the reply. Hearing Rares's voice, Karen frowned. Sir Rares, do we really need to make such a show of it? Rares explained calmly that since they were representing the family before His Majesty, it was only natural. Karen accepted that reasoning but could not hide his displeasure. Then why exactly is Han's squad coming along? They are there to protect the two of you, Rares said plainly. Han added that it was because they might cause trouble. Karen immediately shot back, quiet, Han, he scowled at the group around them. There are far too many troublemakers here. Earlier, after Sabina had departed, Thales had come to Karen. Good morning, sir. Are you well? Morning, Karen replied. Are you two heading to the capital now? Thales asked. Karen nodded. The Emperor himself has summoned us. Before Karen could continue, Thales interrupted. May I say something, Karen? Of course, sir. Thales warned him not to behave in the capital as he had at the Blue Sea Fortress. You know what I mean, so I won't elaborate further. Karen understood that Thales had been openly observing him all along. He added that many enemies would try to sow discord within their family at the capital. If you give them any excuse, I will personally ensure you are punished severely, Karen. Karen smiled and replied, I appreciate your golden advice, sir. I will certainly not disappoint your expectations. Then he turned away. Very well, safe journey. Yes, sir. Watching Thales' retreating figure, Karen did not think much further. A sly grin formed on his face as he thought, daring to threaten me with severe punishment, Karen does not care for Thales' attempts to undermine me just because he is the eldest son. I will make that arrogant face of his regretted. He continued to watch Thales leave and murmured to himself, just wait. At that moment, an announcement rang out, we are ready to depart. Karen pointed at Han. Han, if you cause any trouble, I won't let it slide. Han raised a hand to speak, actually, there is something I need to say. Before he could continue, Urha came running from a distance. Young master, what is the matter? He thanked Karen for giving him a chance. That thing, Karen laughed. I am taking him to the capital to throw him in jail. What? I told you not to bite off more than you could chew, Karen quipped. At that moment, an announcement informed Han that everyone had boarded the carriage. Commander, I am off, Han said. Meanwhile, Karen continued teasing Urha. Young master, do not leave me, let us see how you handle yourself first. Rares instructed them, both of you, do not cause trouble in the capital and return safely. Karen scoffed, with all these warnings, people will think we are professional troublemakers. Rares replied firmly, old habits die hard. Karen just clicked his tongue in response. Just as he was about to board, a voice called out Fael came running from a distance. Karen, wait, hold on a moment. Karen turned to his father. Father, you are at the Blue Sea Fortress. Fael, sweating and breathless, said, Grandfather summoned me here. More importantly, I wanted to see you once before you leave. Karen looked momentarily surprised. Fael added, and your grandfather in the capital is also eagerly awaiting your arrival. Karen replied warmly, I am looking forward to seeing him as well. Fael smiled gently. I bet grandfather's prepared a mountain of gifts. He gave his son Karen a pat on the shoulder. His voice was soft but steady, come back safe. If you are going to stir up trouble, keep it reasonable. When Fael said that, Leo let out a small laugh. Karen rolled his eyes and snapped, what are you laughing at? Theo, sitting by the window with a book in his hands, glanced up and murmured, the kids are off. Thales' face was stern. He would just received word that the wife of the second prince was plotting something in the capital. He told his retainers not to get involved. At last the train pulled away. As soon as Karen was seated, he asked, exactly when will we arrive, Han, how long until we reach the capital? Han replied quietly, about 6 hours. We will be passing through the autonomous territory of Thebes. Thebes, Leo said. I have heard it is a unique city, townspeople elect their own mayor, and it is more focused on trade and industry than farming. It is the place where the most money circulates in the empire. Han added, there, money equals social status. Huge wealth gives them major influence across the empire, so other lords have to watch their step. Karen thought for a moment. I have heard locals sometimes flee to autonomous territories to escape oppressive lords. Yes, but they are on good terms with our Blue Sea Fortress, Han replied. Sometimes they even contract major jobs to the Sea Wolf Knight Order. Karen said he would like to visit if they had the chance. The train announced they were approaching Thebes. Karen told Leo he planned to sneak off and explore after they finished their schedule, an idea that made Leo eager to go too. Then Karen felt something odd. Guillotine is reacting to something. It is giving off energy. If Guillotine is reacting, that means it has detected a threat. He studied the sword in his hand. Could Thales or Raphael have planted someone among our attendants? He wondered as he examined the blade. No, they would not be reckless enough for that. At that moment Han called out. Caron's mind raced, if that is not it. He turned to Han. Contact the Thebes commander immediately. Han blinked. Why the sudden order? Karen stood up, more determined. No time to explain. Alert the other cars to prepare for attack. Han did not know what was happening but followed the order. He quickly sounded the alarm to have all attendants ready for an assault. If the threat came from outside rather than within, Karen thought, how on earth could someone attack a moving train, outside, A figure wrapped in a cloak stood with a coil of rope, watching the approaching train. He barked orders to his men, "Begin." His subordinates sprang into action. They are going to ignite charges so whatever's ahead will explode and the train will be in danger. As the train drew nearer, the leader urged, "They are coming. Hurry." One henchman watched the flame crawling toward barrels of oil and said, "It is set. Everyone get ready for the blast." Yes. The train was almost upon them. The nose was only a few meters from the trigger. Then a massive explosion tore the night apart. Startled birds burst from their perches and scattered. In the autonomous territory of Thebes, the air was thick with the incessant din of shouting. "The National Tax Office is squeezing us to death," one voice cried. Another shot back even louder, "Who told you to get caught laundering money?" The arguing only escalated, growing louder by the minute. "What, that is all our fault? And you think you are so perfect? Who do you think you are pointing your finger at?" The two men bellowed at each other, gesturing wildly. "Mayor, you have to deal with these criminals immediately," one insisted. "What, criminals?" the mayor groaned, clutching his head. "If I would known, I would not have come here at all." The arguing raged on relentlessly. "It is impossible to reason with commoners," he sighed, surveying the chaotic scene before him. "I should have retired after finishing my term as Minister of Finance. Why did I throw myself into this mayoral position?" he muttered, while the man standing beside him could only watch in silence. He had imagined this city as a place of refinement, where everyone regardless of their station was treated equally. Instead, the bickering continued unabated. "Ah, so it is the nobles, huh, so high and mighty that they have even stolen our rights to bid on magical stones. What, watch your tongue, how dare a commoner speak to me that way? This place really is a battlefield between commoners and nobility," someone else muttered. The mayor buried his face in his hands in frustration. "Is not this all just a giant mess?" At that moment, the door opened, drawing everyone's attention. "Mayor," a figure whispered urgently in his ear. "I understand," the mayor replied, his tone calm. He dismissed his subordinates. "You may step outside," he said. "Yes, Mayor," they responded obediently. One man could not help but ask, "What urgent news is so important it interrupts a meeting? Is it about the tax inspectors?" The mayor, lighting his pipe, replied nonchalantly, "Do not worry. The tax inspectors are not worth a damn right now." His words sent murmurs through the room. "What do you mean, are the tax inspectors cancelled?" someone asked. The mayor exhaled a puff of smoke and chuckled. "No, not yet. But let us forget about them for now." The man, intrigued by the mayor's attitude, pressed, "Then what on earth is going on?" The mayor's expression turned grave. 5 minutes ago, the Reston family's train, en route to the capital, exploded. "I heard the Duke's sons were on that train," another voice said incredulously. "What are you talking about?" someone demanded. The mayor merely gave a sharp glance. "What am I talking about?" he replied coolly, tossing his cigarette into a glass of wine. "What else could it be? We are all doomed." The Reston family's train had been partially destroyed, its cars overturned and black smoke still billowing into the sky. Karen slowly regained consciousness from the violent shock. He stood, surveying the chaos around him. Han was right there, along with Leo and the others. "Are you hurt anywhere, sir?" Han asked urgently. "Just a few scratches," Karen replied lightly. Han immediately began reporting the situation to everyone. Voices rose over the commotion. 11 people with serious injuries, 2 minor. The seriously injured include Dale. In another car, there were 2 more casualties. Karen caught the name Urha being reported and realized the situation was indeed severe. He turned to Han, asking if he knew their current location. Han informed him they were roughly 10 kilometers from the autonomous territory of Thebes. He added that he had contacted the Thebes authorities before Karen and Leo regained consciousness, so reinforcements were likely already on their way. Han instructed, "While our team holds them off, you and Leo need to get as far away as possible." "Do you understand what I am saying?" Karen ignored the warning. His gaze fell on the sword in front of him, guillotine, which was reacting violently, pulsing with energy. "That means," he murmured. Outside, he spotted the leg of an approaching figure. Sword in hand, Karen braced himself. "An attacker," he said grimly. Karen drew his sword. Only then did he answer Han, "I am sorry, but I can't do that." Han blinked in surprise. "Sir, why not?" Karen spoke slowly, laying out his reasoning. "They blew up the rails, our sovereign's valuable property. That kind of crime is practically treason. How far do you expect us to run? Your cousin's leg is injured too," Han protested. "Can Leo still fight?" Leo tightened his grip on his blade and nodded once. Then there is only one option, is not there, Karen said, and no sooner had the words left his mouth than he launched himself at the attackers outside, before they could react. He struck the man's leg with brutal force, crippling it. The boy and the coach watched the kneeling man with a cold, predatory look, then shouted, "Kill them all," and finished the man off. The leader merely watched, expressionless. Well, well, he murmured. 3 of the enemy stepped out of the train car to size up the scene. They have got more men than I thought. Voices called from the ranks, "Second squad, mount up, protect the young masters." A troop immediately surged forward, matching the enemy numbers. Han assessed the situation and barked, "These are seasoned fighters, rank 3 at least. And their leader." Everyone turned to look. The man at the front was a battle-hardened rank 6. He spoke up finally, "Karen Reston." "Yeah. Drop your weapons and surrender." Karen recognized that the leader's voice was distorted by magic. When Karen stayed silent, the leader continued, "If you cooperate, we will spare your knights and servants." Karen asked quietly, "Han, their target is me. Do you know what that means?" Han's worry spiked. "No sir, you can't." Before anyone could stop him, Karen stepped forward. "What do you mean you can't?" he shot back. "They are no match for me." Han could only press his hands to his face as Karen advanced. "This is terrible." He quickly ordered his soldiers to concentrate on protecting Karen. Karen moved fast, crippling one of the advancing enemy. Both sides surged and steel clashed on steel, and the skirmish erupted. Karen seemed to relish the fight. He did not back down for a moment, barking orders to press the attack. The enemy held their ground in a line. "Not coming at us. Fine, I will go through," one of them muttered. "Damn, that kid's no joke," another said. "There is nothing like this in the contract," someone else grumbled. Their leader now stepped forward to take charge. "Clear the way," he ordered in a shadowed, dangerous tone, fixing his gaze on Karen and making it clear he intended to be the one to deal with him. Karon's eyes lit up. "Oh, the bot finally shows himself," he said. Suddenly a figure darted forward. Han stepped between Karen and the leader and warned, "He is a tough opponent, young master. Please fall back." The leader sneered, unmoved. "You are just digging your own grave." Han, resolute in the role of Seawolf Knight, replied, "You are welcome to try." The two of them clashed, Han attacking without a shred of fear. The leader, however, remained unflinching, waiting for Han's strike. They collided with ferocious force, the clash of metal ringing sharply through the air. Sensing something unusual, the leader cast a quick glance at Han, seizing an opportunity to strike downward, but Han dodged. Even with all his strength, Han could feel just how powerful the man was. He realized the leader had deliberately deflected his attack. The leader shifted his stance subtly, and Han eyed the movement with suspicion. Then, it hit him. No way. A rank 6 knight from the kingdom of Pabar, Xian Hakimi. Han's mind raced, wondering why a knight from Pabar would even be in the Empire. The Empire and Pabar supposedly have a non-aggression pact. He muttered to himself. He also wondered why they were targeting Karen. The kingdom of Pabar had no grievances with the Reston family. But Han pushed the thought aside, there would be time to investigate later. For now, the battlefield was already tipping in their favor. The soldiers, along with Leo and Karen, could easily take care of the lesser enemies. Both combatants fought fiercely. As Han considered his next move, he noticed the leader preparing to strike again. He quickly intercepted the sudden attack. The leader sneered mockingly, "And you have time to hesitate, Seawolf Knight." Han did not back down, immediately countering, "Your formation is already broken, Xian Hakimi." Han's counterattack forced the leader to retreat. They were evenly matched, and Han warned him, "Resistance is pointless. Surrender now." The leader eyed him warily. "You say my formation has collapsed." He looked around and realized his subordinates had all been defeated. "I see. So that is it." Han tried to reason with him, "If you surrender, we will spare your life. No need to die in a foreign land." The leader scoffed. "I have no intention of reasoning with fools. I will focus solely on completing my mission." Han noticed the man's eyes were bloodshot from burst vessels. With a defensive surge of mana, he launched an aggressive counterstrike at Han. Han's expression grew serious. Witnessing this, he thought, "Does he have no intention of surviving?" Panic tightened his chest. At this rate, not only capturing him but even protecting the young masters could be in jeopardy. "Unless I release my own mana." The leader advanced like a blazing red dragon, aiming straight at Han. Han slowly closed his eyes, preparing to unleash his mana. At that moment, Karen spoke up, Han, I am a little disappointed in you. And just as Han began releasing his mana, Karen had already maneuvered behind the enemy. Were not you supposed to come with me to stop me from causing trouble? The leader immediately sensed Karon's presence. Karen joined the fray, shouting to Han, and you were going to give up. The direction of the leader's attack suddenly shifted toward Karen Reston. Karen called back coolly, that is right, I am Karen Reston. With a decisive strike, Karen severed the leader's arm. It fell to the ground along with his sword before Han. Enraged, he ground his teeth and bellowed, Karen Reston. You really are a monster, he spat. Karen laughed brightly. Is that a compliment? Thank you. But then he froze, noticing the sword in his hand guillotine was trembling violently. He knew that meant another threat lingered. You bastard. What else are you planning? Han's brow furrowed, anxiety creeping over him. A strange, lethal aura radiated from his body. I bear you no grudge. Forgive me, Karen Reston. Karen still eyed him warily, suspecting there might be more tricks up his sleeve. Then Han suddenly sensed something seriously wrong and shouted at the top of his lungs, entire squad, protect young Master Leo. Leo froze, unable to comprehend what was about to happen, staring blankly at the chaotic scene before him. The entire squad immediately surged forward, forming a protective perimeter around him. Han also lunged toward Karen. Young Master Karen, a surge of incredibly strong energy burst from Han's body. Confused, Karen called out, Han, what is going on? Why are you doing this? Han explained urgently, the leader had activated a self-destruct spell, intending to end his own life in one final, catastrophic release of energy. This is my own incompetence, Han admitted. I apologize, young Master Karen. Karen was stunned. He had not expected the man to actually destroy himself. At that moment, the energy radiating from Han intensified to levels he had never reached before. Han whispered a desperate prayer, so please. Survive. Then an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Han's eyes followed the blast as it unfolded, and gradually, another voice pierced through the chaos. Truly a foolish master. It has been a while since I have tasted a knight's blood. Allow me to enhance your martial prowess. The voice spoke almost unconsciously, if you do not want your eyeballs to explode, keep your eyes tightly shut. Han heard someone calling him. Han, wake up. Karen kicked him sharply. How long do you plan to lie there? Ha, Han blinked at the brusque tone, and Karen snapped back, you little bastard. I wasted my efforts shielding you, you know. Even after the explosion, Han was still wincing in pain. Karon's frustration grew. Did I ask you to save me? Then the mysterious voice spoke again, without me, things would not have gone this smoothly. Karen hefted his sword, and the voice continued, you were this close to having nothing left but bones. You should be grateful. Hey, are you even listening? Karen muttered, glaring at the sword in his hands that seemed to have its own mouth. Karen could not help but wonder, could this really be a sentient, cursed sword? Karen Reston glanced at the others, and his sword suddenly spoke, a cursed sword. He raised an eyebrow and asked it in return. Not a cursed sword. I have heard that blades forged by deranged blacksmiths using souls as raw material can talk just like me, the sword replied irritably. Karen chuckled. If you intend to chop off my head over something so trivial, why did you bother saving me earlier? The sword sneered, you pitiful fool. If I had not wasted my mana shielding you from that explosion, your neck would have been severed long ago. At that moment, Han assumed a defensive stance, cautioning, wait, there is another enemy. But Karen raised a hand to stop him. Do not worry, I am not your foe, he said calmly, while the sword continued its incessant chatter. Be grateful. I have burned through all my stored mana, utterly exhausted. Karen frowned and asked seriously, so you only absorb mana when you kill enemies? If you want, I can also draw mana from your blood, the sword replied. Just then, the mounted knight approached and introduced himself. I am Hyri, captain of the Thebes Autonomous Territories militia. Karen sheathed his sword, thinking to himself, bloodthirsty for its master. This sword really is cursed. Han stepped forward to introduce himself. Hello, I am Han, vice captain of the 2nd Unit, Sea Wolf Cavalry. The sword immediately reacted to Karon's words. Wait, just so you know, you are not talking to me anymore. Karen smirked. Really, fine. Then shut up and rest. The sword, annoyed, could only mutter under its breath, bastard. Han then gestured toward Karen Reston and explained, this is the grandson of Grand Duke Halo Karen Reston. Hyrie lifted his visor and replied with solemn respect. The Thebes territory deeply regrets that you encountered such an incident. By order of the mayor, we have come to escort the Duke's family members safely. Karen nodded. Understood. Thank you for your trouble. Many of our people are injured. Soon after, they all mounted the carriages. Karen remained silent, staring out the window. Han broke the quiet. Young Master Karen, are you certain you won't return to the Blue Sea Fortress? The militia and knights will remain to investigate, but we do not know when there will be results. It is still too soon to conclude the threat has vanished. Karen responded lazily, without looking away from the window. I said it is fine. I contacted Lord Rares before we left. He is probably on his way here now. Han, you worry too much, that is your problem. The royal guards from the capital have likely already set out, so do not sweat it. More importantly, do you know who self-destructed? Han fell silent for a moment, then answered calmly, that man. He was a 6th-ranked knight of the kingdom of Pabar, Shian Hakimi. Karon's expression darkened. He repeated cautiously under his breath, the kingdom of Pabar. He analyzed the situation mentally, the neighboring desert nation, east of the empire. Could the non-aggression pact personally arranged by Grand Duke Halo now be faltering? This was more complicated than he had initially thought. As he spoke, Han frowned. Relations between the empire and the kingdom have deteriorated, yes, but not to the point of pulling stunts like this, he added. Karen Reston turned to the man beside him. Still, is not something like this enough to spark a war, do not you think? His cousin hemmed and hawed for a moment before answering, yeah. I am really sorry. I could not even hear properly. My hands were shaking. Karen knit his brow. It is your first time killing someone. That is understandable. Taking another life is never easy, but you have got to get past it. That is life, cousin. A short while later, Hyrie hurried to the window to announce they were approaching the autonomous territory. Looking out, Karen could not help but swear under his breath, damn, it is gorgeous. Outside stood a bustling, grand city with massive architecture. I approve, someone murmured. As they entered, a smiling man came forward waving. Welcome to the Thebes Autonomous Territory. We are relieved you arrived safely. Thebes will do everything possible to find whoever is behind this, and of course we will cooperate fully with House Reston's investigation. Before he finished, Karen cut in. I know Thebes was not involved in the attack. Han chimed in. Yes, Mayor Grine, you have nothing to worry about. The mayor hesitated. Is that so? Han added, a little teasing, you look different from when you were finance minister. The mayor sighed. Do not remind me, Han. If I had not taken this damned mayoral post, oh my. I sound like I am rambling in front of the Duke's family. Karen laughed easily. Speak freely, sir. Mayor, I feel awkward being so formal around a Duke's descendant, Han said. Grine waved his hands in a fluster. How could I possibly be casual with the bloodline of a great duke, he joked. Maybe I should show my sincerity by kneeling. Startled, he backtracked. No, I misspoke. I am grateful for your kindness, Karen. Let us move somewhere more private to continue this discussion. The smile never left the mayor's face. Yes, let us do that. Soon after they moved inside, Grine's voice snapped with alarm, smuggling. Karen listened patiently. The attackers destroyed the rail line with explosives. Not mana-based, you can't get that kind of explosive without going through the armory, Grine stammered. Yes, that is true. He still had not finished when Karen cut in, but the Arms Bureau is tightly controlled by the Empire. Smuggling explosives out from there is nearly impossible. What if the explosives were smuggled in from outside the Empire? For example, explosives manufactured in the Kingdom of Pabar. At those words, Grine froze. He suddenly realized, makes sense, only the Empire and the Kingdom could produce that quality of explosive. Karen pressed on, if some Thebes trading caravans are implicated in such smuggling, would not that create problems for you, Mayor? Grine watched Caron's reasoning without speaking, thinking to himself, that is a brutally sharp line of inference. Finally he said, no, more importantly. He cleared his throat. You are right, Karen. Smuggling is the most plausible hypothesis. Karen smiled. Is not that right, he thought. He also privately noted that if Grine refused to accept that line of reasoning, he himself might be suspected of collusion, because when a few smugglers operate, it is easy for others to be implicated. At the Thebes Autonomous Territory, the townspeople had been enjoying themselves when a group of knights passed through. Everyone wore serious expressions, and walking in the center was none other than Gale Ferriton. In a narrow dead-end alley, a pair of eyes watched them intently. The observer noted that, because this involved the Duke's grandson, Ferriton would arrive quickly. Back in Mayor Grind's office, a crowd had gathered, shouting over one another, "What is the deal with this sudden tax inspection? You said it was scheduled in advance, yet it is happening tonight. We have to undergo an audit with no time to prepare, even if the mayor is just a figurehead. Can't you give us a little notice? And it is Squad 1 doing this, how are we supposed to handle that?" Grind trembled with anger as he listened. He ground his teeth and shouted, "You bastards, you are crossing the line. Do not you understand how serious this is?" He slammed the table with a loud bang. At that moment, Karen Reston entered, standing in the middle of the doorway and announcing, "Mayor Grind is right. Not only was Your Majesty's railway destroyed, but the Duke's grandson and the people from the Blue Sea Fortress were attacked with explosives suspected to have been smuggled through Thebes trading caravans. Do you all understand the gravity of this situation?" The crowd exchanged confused looks, though one person quietly observed everything. One of them stepped forward. "No, what we meant was, you should give us more time to prepare." Karen Reston raised an eyebrow. "And you are?" The man startled for a moment before hurriedly introducing himself. "I am Viscount Humir of the Humir Trading Caravan." Karen smiled. "Understood. I will make sure to pass your name to the head of the tax bureau, also my grandfather." The Viscount flinched, his voice softening. "I misspoke. Please, have mercy." At that moment, a sound came from outside the door. A man stepped through, announcing, "This is Squad 1 of the tax bureau. The bureau chief is entering." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to the man slowly making his way in. Gail Ferriton suddenly pointed at the crowd and shouted, his tone grave, "From this moment on, your trading caravans are subject to a tax investigation. The bureau has received reports of illicit profiteering through smuggling and tax evasion. His Majesty has ordered a full-scale investigation. You are required to cooperate fully with this investigation." Karen Reston smiled faintly and let out a quiet sigh. "He looks more like a soldier than a government official," he thought. Behind him, Leo turned to Han. "Hey Han. Is Squad 1 really that intimidating?" Han gave a brief explanation. "Squad 1 handles the largest trading caravans and the nobility. Considering who they deal with, they can even call upon the Royal Guard." Leo added, turning back, "If you do not pay your taxes, they will beat you to a pulp. So yes. They are extremely intimidating." Just then, he noticed Gail Ferriton standing directly in front of him. Startled, he gasped, but contrary to his expectations, Ferriton smiled warmly. "It has been 3 years, Karen. You are still well, I see." Karen returned the smile politely. "Yes, grandfather." They moved into the garden. Ferriton continued, "Are you sure you do not need another checkup?" Karen replied, "I am fine, thank you." Ferriton's expression turned serious again. "Have you any idea who might be behind this?" Karen shook his head, smiling lightly. "Not yet." Gail Ferriton rubbed his chin for a moment, thinking, then concluded it was definitely not an inside family matter. Karen Reston immediately shook his head emphatically. "If it were my uncles, they would not leave even a single trace like whoever's behind this did. They deliberately left traces as if they wanted us to conclude this was the work of the Kingdom of Pabar. They did not even bother to hide their identity." Gale placed a hand on the boy's head, his voice growing serious. "Karen, do you want to find the culprit yourself and punish them?" He protested, "It is not that I do not know your talent, but the world is vast and full of powerful people, and danger still lurks here. Stay put. We will go to the capital tomorrow morning." When the boy did not answer right away, Gale continued, "His Majesty ordered the same. The grown-ups will handle this." Karen suddenly laughed. "Yes, sir. I will be good." Then he turned to look straight ahead. Gale looked at his grandson and thought to himself, "Oh my, he has no intention of keeping that promise, does he?" "Karen," the kid's smile at that moment was utterly mischievous. At the same time, voices of servants echoed through a nearby mansion. "Hurry up and load it, that is the last shipment." Someone came out and called loudly, "Why are not you gone yet?" The workers answered immediately, "We are on it." From inside a carriage a worried woman asked, "Love, you are not coming with us?" He answered at once, "Do not worry. I will follow after. My dear." Then he signaled the staff, "Go now." They answered, "Yes, my lord." From inside the coach snatches of pleading rang out, "Darling, father must leave quickly." No reply, just a long look toward the road, and then a muttered curse, "Damn it." On a rooftop nearby someone watched them and reported over a radio, "We have already evacuated the family." A voice via the comm said, "And the pursuit?" He replied, "They are on it." The man downstairs re-entered. Give the order, continue sweeping the area. The servants responded, yes, my lord. Up on the roof, in a stern voice over the radio, no mistakes. The reply came back instantly, understood. Back with Karen Reston, he was carefully cleaning his sword. Someone stepped in from outside and, seeing him, said, polishing your blade at midnight, you planning to cause trouble again? Karen did not stop his movements. He only frowned slightly. Can't believe I just arrived and already someone's nagging me. It is Rares, the man said, approaching. I heard the bureau chief has forbidden you from going out. Karen looked up. You came here to stop me too. Rares hesitated, then spoke, I have come to deliver the housemaster's orders. Caron's surprise was visible. Rares Winterguard cleared his throat. Listen carefully. Karen Reston, youngest scion of House Reston, hear this. As soon as you receive this order, hunt down the perpetrators and exact blood for the fallen. Make them understand the law of the Blue Sea Fortress. The words hit Karen. He trembled, then smiled and said, Karen Reston, I obey the housemaster. He tightened his grip on his sword. Seeing that, Rares Winterguard sighed. I have the feeling tonight's going to be a long one. Leo's hesitant voice cut through the bustling street. Karen, do we really have to go this far? Karen Reston answered at once, if we want the news, we go where the black market meets. Leo shifted uneasily. I get that, but why do I have to play the servant? He protested. We are heading to the eastern side of Thebes, the place where illegal deals run rampant. If young nobles wander into somewhere like that without attendance, won't that draw unnecessary suspicion? He scratched his head, embarrassment in his voice. I mean, I get that part. I just do not see why I am the one dressing like a lackey. Karen hushed him, quiet. We are almost at the spot I mentioned. After a short walk, they stepped into a dark alley. Leo scanned their surroundings and whispered, terrified, Karen, this place gives me a bad vibe. If you are scared, you can turn back now, Karen said coolly. This is not the sort of place young masters should be, Leo started, but before he could finish, something else froze both of them in their tracks. A cloaked figure had been leaning against the wall and now spoke up. The fact that they showed here means. Both of them went on guard. Karen snatched the sword's hilt, ready to fight. The stranger removed his hood and introduced himself instead. Hello. I was sent by Lord Rares. It is an honor to escort the young masters. My name's Kerr. He pulled his hood off fully and added, shall we move? I have arranged a safe hideout. A little while later they reached an iron door. Kerr opened it a crack. Once everyone had stepped inside, he said, it is soundproofed in there, so feel free to talk. Karen looked around and then said, you must have gone to a lot of trouble. I am from Thebes, Kerr replied. When Karen raised an eyebrow, why would a Thebes local be working intelligence for House Reston? Kerr answered plainly, I am just returning a favor to Lord Rares. Karen smiled. Understood. Let us get to business. Of course, Kerr said, adopting a serious air. Karen immediately briefed him. Word is someone knew we were en route to the capital and attacked the train with smuggled explosives. Do you know who did it? Kerr picked up a notebook and answered, yes. From what I have gathered, there are a couple of explosive suppliers on the black market, two groups, the Kerr gang and Caligo. Kerr's group has already consolidated power in Thebes and is gradually stepping back from the black market, Kerr continued. Karen took the notebook and asked, what about Caligo? Kerr replied, they are composed of former slaves, men who'll do anything for money. One of my sources says members of Caligo left the city this morning. Caron's brow tightened. Leo, standing nearby, asked, this morning, was that when we were attacked? Kerr confirmed, yes. That is suspicious. Caligo ex-slaves who'll do anything for pay. Kerr added, and Kerr's withdrawing from the market. Leo asked, worried that they did not have time to investigate everyone, so who do we pick, who do we go after? A confident smile spread across Caron's face. The answer was obvious, those with nothing left to lose are the ones who act most recklessly. We go after Caligo, he said. Kerr nodded immediately. Then I will lead you to Caligo's black market. At the same time inside the mansion, Mayor Grind spoke with a worried tone. Sir, are you really comfortable letting Karen go alone? Gail Ferriton frowned. The boy's grandfather sent the summons himself. What choice do I have? Grind quickly added. They say wolf cubs walk their own path. Actually, Karen asked me for a favor. Hearing that, Gail glanced over, snorted. Grind went on, he asked me to keep you here by any means necessary. He has already planned to act on his own, whether the Duke approves or not. Gail could not help his concern, that kid, honestly. Grind tried to reassure him, do not worry too much, Karen has already proven his capability. Still, Gale replied, he is only 13. Grind shot back, for a genius, age is just a number. Gale remained uneasy. But this is Thebes, he said. A place where danger can strike at any moment. A number of merchant houses are buying influence by funding campaigns at the center. Your in-law chose to stay at the frontier. Meanwhile, the other great houses in the capital are working to restrain ours. There are plenty of people here who would do anything to curry favor with the powerful families. That is Thebes, that is what I am worried about. That is also why the emperor had to step in Thebes, to prevent the empire from being dragged around by the private interests of men like that. Hearing this, Grind looked a little ashamed. I thought I would spend my remaining years in peace, never mind. Gale said, for now, let us wait and hope Karen completes his investigation safely. Then Grind remembered something and said, one more thing you should know, Ma Sun is in Thebes. Gale's face went blank with surprise. What, the undying shield Ma Sun, an 8-star knight? That means meanwhile, down in the narrow alley, Kerr's voice whispered, we are here. Standing before a slowly opening door, Karen hesitated, this is the only entrance. Kerr confirmed it. Yes. Karen observed, so in an emergency they can seal it from within. Brutal. They entered and Kerr retrieved a book from a shelf. Immediately a passageway opened, and Karen could not help but marvel. This place is exactly what you would call a black market. Shall we go down? Kerr asked. The three of them descended together. Leo leaned in close and murmured cautiously, Karen, it does not look easy down there. Karen snorted, it turns out 2 people were already waiting for us below. As soon as Kerr appeared, one of the waiting men spoke up, Kerr, long time. What brings you here? Kerr gestured toward Karen and Leo. I am bringing customers, he said. The man replied coldly, I know you usually deal with big spenders, but sorry, today we are not entertaining guests. Leave. Kerr asked, surprised, why's that? Orders from the bot, the man said bluntly. Can't even tell me why, Kerr pressed. We do not know either. Leave now while we are still polite. Someone behind him pulled a small blade, ready. Karen sighed and asked, what is this, are you going to attack us with a knife? Leo cried out in alarm. Young master, but then Karen took a hand to his sword's hilt and challenged them, try me, then. Let us see what happens. That frightened Leo into silence. Karen snapped at Urha to switch to plan B. Urha stared blankly, shaken, plan B, we do not have a plan B. Meanwhile, the 2 men before them had already assumed fighting stances, both gripping the hilts of their swords. The tall knight gripped the hilt of his sword, his expression fierce and threatening. If you won't listen, then there is no other choice. He growled. But the blindfolded man beside him spoke up, trying to intervene, wait, hold on a second. Across from them, Karen had already begun to draw his sword. At the same time, a voice suddenly sounded in his mind, foolish master. The voice continued to scold, let me make it clear, I do not care about the blood of these guys at all. Karen was taken aback hearing this, and immediately asked, you can already talk before leaving the sheath. The sword replied proudly, as long as you still touch the sheath, I can still speak. Karen stayed silent and focused, swinging his sword to strike at the tall knight's blade. Once the move was complete, the knight scowled in irritation. Convenient, are not you, damn cursed sword of yours. Across from them, after one clean strike from Karen, the tall knight's sword was cut cleanly in half. Seeing this, the blindfolded man raised his sword defensively and shouted in anger, what kind of trick are you playing? But before he could finish, his eyes widened in horror. Leo had surged forward like a lightning bolt, attacking in an instant. On the other side, Julio watched the scene calmly, unsurprised internally. He quietly assessed, indeed. The skills of the young wolf of the Reston family are exceptional. As for Leo, he imitated Caron's move, cutting the blindfolded knight's sword in half before turning back to admonish, young master, next time, please give me a warning. Leo barely paid attention, focusing instead on the precision of the strike, then commented, your swordsmanship is not bad either, huh, or ha. Julio glanced at the 2 of them thoughtfully, thinking, Lord Zeras is not patrolling the streets of Thebes just for fun. Meanwhile, Karen lifted his sword and pointed at the 2 in front of him, his voice full of delight, then, shall we begin our little hostage play? Julio's eyes widened in shock as he whipped around to look at him. Hostage? Karen simply pointed his sword at the 2 and threatened, do you think you will walk away unharmed after this? Julio could not believe it, thinking, what did he just say, a noble playing hostage games? But in front of them, Karen remained calm, asserting control over the situation. Suddenly, a voice emerged from the symbol on the blindfolded knight's armor, stop now, enough. Karen fell silent, thinking quietly. A woman's voice. From the two knights' side, the voice continued, "Can you stop tormenting my subordinates?" Karen sneered nonchalantly, "So even the Caligo leader cares about her people." The Caligo leader confirmed without hesitation, "Of course. They have been through life and death with me." The two knights exchanged silent, wordless glances. The voice continued, "I cannot allow them to be killed by some wild young wolf." Leo whispered quietly, "It seems she knows who we are, young master." Before he could respond, the leader extended an invitation, "Come inside." Karen expressed his doubt bluntly, "Sounds nice, but we still do not trust each other, do we?" Then he pointed his sword at the blindfolded knight's neck and declared, "So your precious subordinate will be my hostage." The leader, unsurprised, smiled, "Just as the rumors said you do enjoy taking hostages." She then commanded, "I will wait gladly. Cal, please show our guests the way." Karen calmly grabbed the strap of the knight's armor and signaled, "Understood. Let us go." The knight responded hesitantly, "Yes, as the leader commands." Elsewhere, the bright moonlight illuminated a sprawling, luxurious mansion. From within, a conversation could be heard. "Knight of the 8 Stars, Mason Paul, stationed in Thebes." "Yes, sir." Gale looked toward the man beside him, his voice trembling with unease as he sought confirmation. "So that means that person is traveling with him as well, right?" Grine hesitated, then answered, "Yes. Most likely." Hearing that, Gale's expression darkened with heavy concern. The Emperor's unruly bastard son, the 6th Prince, Revelio, is in Thebes, he thought. Watching this sudden change in Gale's face, his uncle felt confused and asked, "Why are you so worried?" Gale cast him a brief glance before explaining in a steady tone, "His Majesty personally pulled Sir Mason from the Imperial Guard and ordered him to protect the 6th Prince." Even as he said it, doubt crept into his voice. "But is not that man the type who never stays in one place?" Grine did not seem bothered at all and replied with a shrug, "He is a mage. He probably just wandered to Thebes, the marketplace for every strange thing under the sun, to shop for whatever he needs." Gale took a sip of his drink, but worry creased his brow. "I am afraid he might run into Karen." His uncle paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Surely nothing will happen. Right?" Gale turned to Grine with a weary, troubled look. "But Karen is." He sighed helplessly and finished, "The kind of boy who will go looking for trouble if trouble does not find him first." Hearing that, the uncle fell silent, unable to deny it. Meanwhile, on Karen's side, he was escorting the blindfolded knight down the hall, pushing him forward while shouting, "Bring the guest in." But the moment he stepped into the room, Karen froze. 2 people were already inside, waiting. His attention immediately locked onto the object covering the seated man's face. A gold mask. He noted warily. As Karen entered, the masked man straightened in his seat and spoke politely, "Karen Reston." Karen tightened his grip on his hostage, thinking quietly, "He knows me." But what drew his suspicion even more was the presence of the silent guardian standing behind the masked man. Wait. More important. The young man in the golden mask, unaware that he was being completely ignored, stood up and bowed courteously. "It is an honor to meet the famous Karen Reston in a place like this." Karen still paid him no mind, his gaze locked on the man standing motionless behind him. "The mana I sense from the man behind him. That is the power of someone who has reached the 8-star realm. Comparable to Master Sabina or Lord Zeras. There are not many 8-star experts in the Empire at all." "Who is he?" Obviously, Leo sensed it too. He leaned in and whispered, tense, "Karen." The man behind him. Karen shot him a quick glance and nodded, "Yeah. He is not ordinary." Then he turned to the man in the golden mask and asked bluntly, "Hey, do not tell me you are the leader of Caligo." The man instantly denied it. "No. I only came to see my sister." "Your sister?" Karen echoed with suspicion. "Then, you are the leader's younger brother." He chuckled lightly. "Let us say we are siblings by oath. In any case, it is a pleasure to meet you." But Karen did not lower his guard for even a heartbeat. He murmured thoughtfully, "Siblings by oath." Meaning. He did not finish. In the next instant, he shot forward, sword flashing. Tidal wave sword technique. Both Leo and the masked man's guardian jolted in shock at the sudden attack. Only Julio sighed and shook his head as if this were the most predictable thing in the world. The man in the golden mask, caught effortlessly by Karen, only laughed delightedly. "Look, Mason, I have been taken hostage, is not this great?" He did not show the slightest hint of fear. Instead, he seemed even more amused. This is far more interesting than I expected. Good thing I came to Thebes. Karen, however, was studying him with sharp focus. Golden eyes. Jet black hair. The man asked casually, "So, what now, ransom, threatening to kill me?" Karen ignored the words, lost in his own deduction. Then he glanced at the silent guardian who had not moved an inch the entire time and concluded, "An 8-star knight named Mason. Meaning the one I am holding is." He narrowed his eyes. "The 6th prince." The man in the golden mask, oblivious to the fact that his identity had been uncovered, continued speaking cheerfully, "Since we are already like this, should we just go overthrow the palace together?" Karen jerked his head up, stunned. Overthrow the palace? This guy is completely insane. At that moment, a young woman suddenly stepped out from another doorway. "I was gone for just a moment, and you have already swapped your hostage," she remarked. Karen turned toward her, stunned. "An elf?" She met his gaze directly, her expression calm as she asked, "Well, care to explain what is going on?" Karen went along with it, replying, "I just traded up for a slightly more valuable hostage." "What do you think?" She found that mildly amusing and said, "I doubt our Rio here is worth that much." She set the tray of tea on the table before continuing her questioning. "And by the way, why are you suddenly using honorifics?" Karen answered without hesitation. "Elves are always elders, are not they?" His eyes, however, never dropped their guard as he observed her closely. "I can feel an enormous surge of mana from this woman." Then his gaze flicked briefly to his current hostage, and a similar surge from him too. Both mages. He returned his attention to the elf woman, thoughts racing. Naturally. The one over there is far superior. She finally faced him directly and spoke. "If you have come looking for the source of the explosives used in the attack on the Reston estate," she stated plainly, "it was not us. So lower your sword, and we can start talking." Karen did not move the blade. His voice remained skeptical. "And why should we believe you?" She let out a long, weary sigh. "If I were the one who attacked the Reston estate." Her hand rose smoothly as mana gathered densely in her palm. "Then I would have been far more careful. I would not have left a single trace behind." Seeing the magic build with such intensity, Karen's expression tightened. Terrifying magic. At least a 7th circle mage. Beside him, Leo stared in shock, unable to hide his fear. The woman looked back at Karen, her tone almost casual. "Well then, are you ready to talk now?" Karen did not answer. He fell silent, weighing everything in tense contemplation. In a dim, shadow-filled room, 2 masks lay on the table. Someone was pouring tea as they spoke quietly. "Let me make this clear one more time. The explosives used in the attack on the Reston estate did not come from us. Yes, we do traffic explosives, but only for Revelio's experiments." She handed over a teacup as she continued. Hearing that, Karen frowned and asked, "So it was the cur rats messing around?" She gently corrected him. "No. Those cowards would not have the guts for something this bold." Suddenly, Karen stiffened, irritation flashing across his face. "Your Highness, would you mind taking your hand off me?" Revelio held up his hands in an exaggerated gesture of innocence, his tone playful. "Come on, we are just messing around, no need to get tense." He giggled and pointed at himself. "From now on, just call me Revelio, we are friends, right?" Karen turned away in disgust, muttering under his breath, "Friends, my ass." A sharp voice rang out above his head. "Watch your mouth when you speak to the prince, whelp." Revelio glanced back at Mason and murmured, "Mason, do not be so stiff." Mason folded his arms and let out a long, exhausted sigh. "To think my brother's youngest would be this insane." Karen narrowed his eyes, studying him carefully as a troubling thought surfaced. "He knows my grandfather too." A moment later, the elf woman's voice broke the silence. "Now then, shall we return to the main topic?" She offered a faint smile, tilting her head politely. "My apologies for the late introduction. I am Poina, leader of Caligo. It is an honor to meet the 2 young heirs, grandsons of Duke Halo, the greatest hero of the continent." She set her cup down. "As I said, the explosives used in the Reston attack were not ours. But we can tell you who the culprit is." She hesitated a moment, then added, "However, there is one condition." Karen picked up his teacup, already weary. "Of course there is." He looked at her and said, "Go on." A thoughtful glint appeared in Poina's eyes as she brought the cup to her lips. "My condition is." She smiled brightly as she finished. "You must become friends with Revelio." Karen shot her a cold side glance. He lowered his voice. Tying myself to the royal family. You know exactly how messy that would be, do not you? The grandson of a ducal house getting close to a prince, the rumors alone would be endless. No one would ever treat that as a simple friendship. Revelio stared at him, wide-eyed and sincere. And, kids becoming friends is totally normal. Besides, this only benefits the Reston dukedom, does not it? Karen frowned. Benefits, in what way? Revelio hesitated, then said, well. The Reston family is about to take action, right? Think of it as a warning, a little nudge to the royal family and the central nobility. Do not you see it? Karen cursed him silently. A complete lunatic. Out loud, he finally asked, but why go this far, Prince Revelio? The prince's lips curled in a secretive smile. Because I intend to do whatever it takes to make my father suffer. My dream is to become a completely wretched disappointment. Understand? Karen stared at him, utterly defeated. No, he really is insane. A little later, Poina turned back to him. So, what will you do? The nights in Thebes may be long, but we do not have much time tonight. Karen latched onto something she would said earlier and asked cautiously, not much time, what do you mean by that? The royal guards came with special unit no. 1. For another purpose, he studied her expression, confusion deepening. You are saying. She explained gently, this is a case involving the attempted murder of the grandsons of a national hero household. And yet the royal guards have shown no meaningful response. You have never wondered why. Karen's face darkened slowly. He spoke hesitantly, do not tell me. You are saying the royal guard is colluding with the culprit. Poina slowly rose to her feet, her voice calm but edged with meaning as she replied, that answer depends entirely on who the culprit is. Then she added, almost casually, what is clear is that the royal guard's motives were completely different from young Master Karen's. Here this document records the culprit's movements and everything related to the incident. So, what do you intend to do? Will you accept my offer or not? Karen did not respond. His gaze simply lingered on Poina's silhouette, unreadable and silent. By now, the sky had already fallen into darkness. Not far away by the roadside, a wagon was hauling cargo, and the driver yelled, urging his men, move faster. Suddenly, a furious roar came from the upper floor of the nearby building. Can't you go any faster? Startled, the driver stammered back, why yes, my lord, I will move quickly. He glanced downward in irritation and muttered under his breath, damn it. From above, Oyen leaned over the balcony, his expression cold and calculating as he observed the scene below. Once the objective was complete, the royal guard would come to erase the evidence he had been reassured of that countless times, so he had no reason to worry. When this is over, he declared, I will grant you your noble title, just as I promised. Thank you, my lord. I will give it my all. The man below covered his face, muttering bitterly to himself, my long-awaited title. It is finally within reach. Those damn ducal brats. Who would have thought they would survive the attack? Good thing we evacuated their family ahead of time. Before he could finish, another man sprinted in and delivered urgent news. My lord. Startled, Oyen snapped, what is it? The man's next words made him freeze. The knights. The knights just stormed in. Knights, Oyen echoed in disbelief, his face blanched. Could it be? The royal guard, he whispered anxiously, but before the informant could answer, a voice dripped with disdain echoed from the doorway. The Oyen estate sure is hard-working. Even at this hour, you are still busy. The man turned, horrified. It is. It is not the royal guard. Karen stepped inside, a sword slung casually over his shoulder, his tone icy. Your family's been busy lately, has not it? Oyen stared at him, frowning suspiciously. You are. A man of Duke Reston, Karen replied sharply. He pointed at himself. Yes. Exactly. And you. He jabbed a finger toward Oyen. Are the piece of trash they want erased. Karen tilted his head slightly, his voice growing colder. Funny, is not it? Someone who is so eager to take another's life seems strangely affectionate toward his own family. From behind him, another man entered the room carrying a bag. Young master, I brought what you requested. Thank you, Lord Zeres, Karen replied softly. Oyen's face twisted. No. No, that can't be. Karen lifted the bag, annoyance flickering in his eyes. This, curious, or not you, want to see. Oyen's entire body trembled. Do not tell me. My family. Seeing him shaking uncontrollably, Karen snorted and tossed the bag toward him. If you are that curious, look for yourself. Oyen collapsed onto the floor, shaking violently as he fumbled with trembling hands to open it. When he finally saw what lay inside, he broke into a pitiful wail. My family. My family. At some point, Karen had stepped right next to him. He slapped Oyen across the face, snapping, look properly. And stop screaming. He crouched and spoke with chilling clarity. Do you seriously think those calloused hands belong to your family? After a moment of stunned silence, Oyen stammered, Then whose are they? Karen's eyes dropped to him with ice-cold indifference. They belong to the assassins your allies sent to kill your family. Oyen let out a breath of relief, joy rushing into his voice. So you saved them, you saved my family, thank you. You are celebrating too soon, Karen cut in sharply. You joined hands with the masterminds who attacked House Reston. People died because of that. The ones who saved your family are innocent, but you are not. His voice turned deadly calm. You will spend the rest of your life in the dungeon of Blue Sea Fortress. Endless torture is a certainty. Lord Xeres, take him away. Yes, young master, Xeres replied. Elsewhere, Poina sat beside Revelio, who was quietly stirring a cup of tea. She asked softly, I hear His Majesty's health has been declining. How are things in the capital? Revelio gave a faint, almost elegant smile. Because of that, the aristocrats are in complete chaos. The only ones enjoying this mess are the warmongering old men. Poina sipped her tea as she continued, the internal conflict inside the royal guard is getting worse. The divide between the war faction and their allies grows deeper every day. Then she glanced his way, her tone subtly approving. Still, thanks to you, we have gained a reliable ally. Do not you think so? Revelio blinked in confusion. Why ask me, sister, he replied. Mason, the royal guard standing nearby, mulled it over for a moment before commenting dryly, is not it obvious? Karen is completely captivated by your charm. Meanwhile, beside Poina, someone added with mild disbelief, you were not like this at all when we first met. Unexpectedly, Revelio's expression dimmed. After a pause, he spoke, his voice trembling just slightly. It is true. The moment I fled the palace conspiracies and arrived in Thebes, Imene was almost killed. If Lord Mason had not been there, I would have died alongside my mother. And if I had not met you in the city, I never would have learned magic. Everything I am today is thanks to the two of you. He exhaled, soft but sincere. And someday, Karen will also become someone important to me. At that moment, inside the castle, an irritated voice snapped, what is that supposed to mean, Karen? Even Revelio was silently contemplating his next words. The ancient ducal house of Halo, the lineage of the continent's greatest hero silent for so long, was about to move. In an opulent room, two men spoke in unison, clearly displeased. You are planning to make the Reston attack public, and all the investigation details too. Karen, if this spreads, the Reston name will take serious damage. Have you really thought this through, or are you planning to shift the blame onto Thebes? Sitting comfortably across from them, Karen replied with complete ease, relax. The mayor won't be the one taking responsibility. This will simply make it impossible for the culprits to deny their crimes any longer. The mayor will become a righteous leader, someone who stands against injustice. The two men exchanged uneasy looks. Is that so? One murmured uncertainly. Suddenly, Xeres remembered Duke Halo's words. Xeres, let Karen take full command in this matter. Yes, my lord, he had answered back then. Now, he glanced at Karen's faint, enigmatic smile and thought with a helpless sigh, I have no idea what this boy is planning. But an order is an order. His expression then firmed as he spoke aloud, please, trust him this once. And to himself, he added, for now. Let us just sit back and enjoy the show. Dawn broke, and sunlight spilled across the lavish castle. A servant spoke in a low voice, my lord, a letter from young Master Karen. Halo, seated in the grand chair of authority, unfolded the sheet and examined it. The boy intends to publish the damage from the attack and the results of the investigation, he asked. The butler, hands clasped behind his back, responded, yes, that is correct. A short while later, Fael stepped through the doorway and bowed. Father, you called for me. Halo did not look up from the letter as he said, yes. News from Karen just arrived. According to this, a councilman from Thebes involved in the attack has been arrested, and the council has pledged full cooperation to prevent any recurrence. Fael, what do you make of it? Fael took the document from him, scanning the contents before murmuring, This plan could disrupt the political balance in Thebes. Essentially, he is handing power to the mayor, a figurehead who barely has any real authority. Hearing his son's precise assessment, Halo replied quietly, exactly. Until now, the council members have held absolute power. But exposing one of them as tied to terrorism will deal them a crippling blow. Reckless he may be, but this time, the boy has exacted a spectacular revenge. And now our family has extended its influence into Thebes. Fael hesitated before voicing his concern. Father, I am grateful you acknowledge Karen's capability, but Karen is only 13. Is not placing such a burden on a child too much? Unexpectedly, Halo cut him off. Fael, were not you the one who said we must trust our sons? A wolf must walk the path of wolves. It is natural to worry when a young one first steps into the wild, but should not you follow your own advice and trust him to the very end? Convinced by his father's words, Fael lowered his head. Yes, father. I will trust my son completely. Halo's voice softened, though his eyes were sharp. Besides, thanks to Karen, this incident will serve as a harsh warning to the rotten forces at the capital, including the lapdogs and the Imperial Guard clinging to their power. The Imperial Guard. Hungry for authority. If he were to see them now, he would likely behead the entire pack. He exhaled slowly. Fael, prepare for the coming storm. It is time for House Reston to move again. Yes, father, Fael answered steadily. I will make sure everything is ready. When sunset neared once more, a loud voice boomed through the square. Citizens, I am deeply ashamed that such a crime occurred in our proud city. A councilman, driven by greed for more power, attempted to murder the grandsons of the continent's greatest hero, Duke Halo. The crowd erupted in fury. Grind, punish those rotten councilmen. Exactly, clean them out. On stage, Grind raised his arms, overflowing with enthusiasm. I, Grind, will return this city to its people. I swear to give everything I have. Watching from an upper balcony were three figures. Leo let out a breath of amazement. He is like a fish in water right now. Gale, standing beside him, nodded. Grind is a remarkable politician, Leo. A great politician never misses the opportunities handed to him. Leo stiffened for a moment before asking with uncertainty, are all the politicians in the capital like this, sir? Gale offered a gentle smile. Of course not. The reason Grind rose so high is simply because he is competent enough to deserve it. Leo's eyes shone with admiration. So the mayor is no ordinary man after all. Afterward, Gale quietly observed Karen, lost in thought. Yet this plan had been crafted by a boy no older than 13, and the head of the Reston household Couron's-in-law had given his blessing. Grand Duke Halo truly appreciated Karen's abilities. It seemed likely that Karen might be placed on the Reston family's succession list. Whether that was truly a good thing remained to be seen. Suddenly, Karen heard his grandfather call his name. He looked up to see the old man gazing at him gently. My dear grandson, what is it? He asked. Karen hesitated, studying his grandfather's cautious expression before asking quietly, are you all right, sir? His grandfather raised an eyebrow, suspicion flickering across his face. What do you mean by that? Couron's voice carried a hint of sadness as he replied. You have become involved in matters concerning the Reston family's interests. Mother told me that you do not like to let personal affairs entangle with public ones. I can't help but wonder. Did you break your own principles for my sake? Without warning, Gale moved to sit beside him, calling his name tenderly. Karen, sometimes there are moments when you must bend your own principles. Besides, this is not really a breach. His Majesty also intends to restrain those who hold power in Thebes. So do not worry. Your grandfather is fine. Couron's voice wavered slightly as he murmured, Grandfather. Gale's eyes hardened with resolve, and he spoke softly to reassure him, if one day you must do what is right, and your principles stand in the way, do not hesitate, break them. I have matters to attend to before returning to the capital, so I will go ahead. Karen smiled at him. Yes. Beside him, Leo added politely, we will meet you again later, sir. After Gale left, Couron's companion suddenly turned to him. Hey, Karen. Karen blinked in confusion. Leo glanced downward, frowning in puzzlement. Why did the mayor's words excite those people so much? He asked. Karen followed their gaze and replied simply, the mayor has declared he will crush the old powers. Grind clenched his fists in excitement, shouting, for Thebes. A moment later, Karen continued hesitantly, when those entrenched powers fall, it opens opportunities for newcomers, and that is what excites them, is not it? Leo smiled faintly. Even so, I still can't quite understand it. Karen looked at him and said matter-of-factly, "That is because you grew up like a pampered child in a glass cage, cousin." Night was falling. On the second floor, a teasing voice called out, "Look again, your sister is the richest in our family. It has been a while since our last sparring session. Care for a match, cousin?" Karen waved off the offer. The full moon had risen, casting its glow across the estate. Laughter and lively voices echoed through the halls. "That was a fantastic speech, Your Excellency, Mayor," someone called cheerfully. The two men exchanged excited glances, their joy mutual. "Thanks to you, Thebes is full of life again." "It is all thanks to young Master Karen. You gave us a legitimate reason, did not you?" Karen touched his hair lightly, a self-satisfied smile on his face. "Oh, if you say so, then I will graciously accept the praise." Grine lowered his voice, still enthusiastic. "I am just speaking the truth, is not that right? By the way, young Master Karen, what about the Knights of Hylong?" Karen smiled and replied, "The reinforcements have already been dispatched from the Blue Sea Fortress." Upon hearing this, Grine laughed with excitement. Indeed, the Restons are impressively decisive. Beside them, Leo sat silently, muttering under his breath, "So this is politics." Suddenly, Grine's expression turned apologetic. "Ah, how careless of me. I should have prepared for the trip to the capital tomorrow, yet I kept you here for far too long." Caron's voice was gentle. "It is fine. Actually, we have something we wish to give you, Mayor." Grine regarded him with curiosity. "Oh, and what might that be?" Karen adopted a mysterious tone. "Nothing too grand. Though I thought you might need some capital for your big plans." Grine reached into his pocket and pulled out a coin, his excitement mingled with hesitation as he exclaimed, "This is..." Karen squinted one eye knowingly. "We have taken this money from the prophets Leo and I earned at the Demonstone mine in Baron Bellis's territory. Let us keep it as our little secret, shall we?" The old man looked at the two of them with warmth and affection. "Thank you. You two are the only ones who think of me." Somewhere along the way, Leo shivered, pouted, and thought to himself, when did I even agree to this? Another day dawned. The carriages were ready. Ziraz lowered his voice. "The luggage is almost fully loaded, young master. The escort to the capital will be handled by the Imperial Guards," he added. Karen frowned in mild disappointment. The Imperial Guards, does not sound all that appealing. Ziraz looked at him respectfully. "This has already been approved by the head of the household." Suddenly, Leo hesitated. "Hans is injured. So Master Ziraz will be accompanying us, right?" After a moment, Ziraz cast a sideways glance at him and explained gently, "I would very much like to go with you, but I have been tasked with escorting prisoners and the wounded. Instead, young Master Hugo will be responsible for your escort in the capital." At the mention of that name, Caron's brow furrowed. He muttered under his breath, "Hugo Reston. The son of Elder Tales, a genius who reached the 6-star threshold at only 28. The plan to shake up the capital now had an unpredictable new variable. Caron's lips curled into a frown as he muttered in frustration, "There is nothing about this that I like." Somewhere along the way, a flashy carriage rolled up, calling his name. "Cousin Karen." A woman popped her head out of the carriage, waving at them. "Cousin Leo, have you had breakfast yet?" Karen looked at the carriage, exasperated. "Master Ziraz. Maybe we should not even go to the capital." Ziraz, caught off guard, said reluctantly, "No. That is not an option." In front of Caron's house, Revelio brought the carriage to a stop and stepped down to speak with him. "So, how does it feel, heading to the royal capital together?" Karen, excited. Hearing that, Karen replied with a calm, almost indifferent tone, "Not exactly." Then, with a hint of doubt, he added, "Your Highness." Catching the nuance in his voice, Revelio burst into a cheerful laugh. Brimming with pride, he declared, "As expected, you are uneasy because you are being escorted by the royal guards, are not you?" With complete confidence he continued, "Considering your complicated ties with the Reston family, it is only natural. But do not worry. You have me the prince traveling with you." But then Revelio's eyes lit up as he noticed someone approaching. "Perfect timing," he said with delight. A young man stepped forward, placing a hand respectfully over his chest as he bowed. "Forgive us for being late, Your Highness. We had to finish dealing with the sabotage on the rail line." Revelio did not seem particularly interested in that issue. He simply extended a hand toward Karen and the other two young men and said, "It is fine, Ryak. First, introduce yourself. These are the grandsons of Duke Reston." "Yes, sir," the young man answered politely. Then he formally greeted them. Hello, I am Ryak Hamer. Just call me Ryak, it is more comfortable that way. Facing him, Karen responded with complete composure, all right. Under the gaze of Karen and Leo, Ryak remained steady and expressed earnestly, it is an honor to escort the grandsons of the Reston ducal house to the royal capital. Karen offered no reaction. Instead, he fell silent, recalling Poina's question. What was the real reason the royal guards did not actively handle the attack on the Duke's household? Had you ever considered that? With that in mind, Caron's voice hardened as he confronted Ryak. Is the investigation of the rail sabotage really that important? A direct attack on the Duke's grandson on the family that has aided the royal house and the royal guards paid it no mind. Ryak responded immediately, face unchanged. Damaging the royal family's property in this case, the rail line is no different from rebellion. He continued coldly, naturally, the royal guards must prioritize investigating treason. Karen stared at him, unable to believe what he was hearing. Treason, he repeated. Then he curved his lips into a thin, fake smile. If that is the case, then I suppose you all have other matters to attend to. We will accept that for now. Revelio let out a long sigh and stepped in. That is enough talk. Let us get going. Unlike with Karen, Ryak straightened instantly the moment the prince spoke. Yes, your highness. Ziraz, having witnessed everything, placed a hand on Caron's shoulder. You handled that well, young master. He watched the royal guards with caution and advised, until we know who orchestrated the attack on the household, it would be unwise to create hostility with the royal guards. Karen also looked toward them and replied calmly, for now. But inwardly, his thoughts turned sharp and cold. Even if we only have circumstantial evidence. If it can be proven that the royal guards are acting as the pawns of a powerful noble house. Karen made a solemn vow in his heart, then I will destroy them myself. On the other side, perhaps sensing Caron's gaze, Ryak turned to look back at him. Karen did not avert his eyes. He met the stare head-on, unyielding. And deep inside, he made a grave oath, a prestigious institution like the royal guards, reduced to the lapdogs of nobility. Even if I have to sell my soul to the devil, I will never tolerate that. A while later, the group had settled into the carriage and was on the road. Karen cast a glance at the scenery passing by, his expression tinged with boredom as he remarked, it seems unusually quiet. Hearing this, Revelio replied, oh, planning to talk to me? Karen immediately shook his head. No, not really. Seeing that, Revelio shifted the conversation. But hey. About that speech by Mayor Tibi, he began. Karen raised an eyebrow, puzzled. Huh, the prince's tone carried a note of curiosity. That was your doing, was not it? Revelio smiled confidently, analyzing the situation. The mayor is trying to position himself as a central power, representing the council, right, leaning on the support of the Restons. Karen did not reply immediately. Instead, he asked, why do you think that? His voice carried a teasing lilt, as if prompting Revelio to explain. Revelio continued with an air of composed authority. The whole talk of justice was just a pretext. He is using the event to restore the Reston family's shaken prestige. And when the upcoming power struggles unfold, he will have a solid backing force, an excellent move. Having explained his reasoning, Revelio concluded with certainty, is not that essentially Karen's plan as well? Caron's response was calm, tinged with sarcasm. So eating alongside the black market merchants was not a waste of time after all. Huh. Immediately, Revelio shifted to a more pitiable expression. I came from the streets too, you know. I have survived enough to know the ropes. Revelio then added, solemnly assuring him, you think I can't read people, do not worry about it. After that exchange, the two of them fell silent. But then something in Revelio's pocket stirred, catching his attention. He pulled out a small device, and a voice suddenly came from it. Can we go now, Leon? He responded wearily, stop talking already. I have been humiliated enough. On the other end, the voice sounded amused. Do not argue too much, all right, you are friends, after all. Karen immediately shot back, we are not friends. He turned his gaze elsewhere, his tone firm. I have not agreed yet. There are conditions to consider. Poina, however, did not seem angry. She laughed lightly. You have been set up. She followed with a suggestion, think it over, though. My proposal is not entirely harmful to you. Caron's voice remained cold as he pressed, is not that a little lacking in trust? Meanwhile, Poina, seated in her room with a cup of tea, repeated his words with mild curiosity. Lacking in trust. Caron's calm, measured tone responded through the device. If I shake hands with a merchant guild run by elves without permission, I might as well hand my head over to the elders. Poina smiled, lifted the device, and responded casually, I think you have misunderstood. Misunderstood, Karen echoed, puzzled. Poina clarified openly, I want to cooperate with you, not the Restons. Upon hearing this, Karen turned to the device and fell silent, pondering her words. A moment later, the device carried his question, why? Her voice remained calm, slowly explaining, of course. Good goods are always worth investing in. She added, and I must say, Leon really does need friends. Karen frowned, annoyed. That does not sit well with me. Finally, she spoke sincerely. Anyway, if more trust is needed, consider the information I shared earlier as a gift. There will be many times ahead when we will need to help each other. Having finished, Poina ended the conversation politely. If you need anything, contact me through the tools. I will respond. Goodbye for now. Revelio, hearing this, grinned brightly. Good luck. Karen looked at the device with a displeased expression. The two of them are equally stubborn, he muttered. Revelio then looked out the window and cheerfully announced, we are almost there. Hearing those words, Karen also turned his gaze to the view outside the carriage. Ahead loomed a massive city wall, standing tall and imposing across the road. He looked at it for a moment before speaking with quiet pride. Welcome to the royal capital of Decus, Karen. Time had passed, and darkness now shrouded the sky. It was only at this late hour that the group finally reached their destination. Since this was the place Karen and his companions needed to arrive at, both he and Leo disembarked from the carriage. Revelio leaned out, speaking in a friendly, familiar tone. If you want to visit anywhere, just say so. I will guide you free of charge. Karen calmly glanced at him and replied, no need. Revelio seemed unconcerned by Caron's coldness. He waved cheerfully, reminding them, anyway, we will meet soon, do not regret missing out. Caron's temper flared, and he muttered in annoyance, that guy. After Revelio departed, Ryak approached on horseback, coming to a halt beside Karen. He bowed respectfully. We request permission to proceed first, young masters of the Reston ducal house. Karen immediately responded with seriousness, thank you very much, Ryak. Ryak replied with calm politeness, it is nothing. See you later. Then he led the other guards away, and behind them, Karen and Leo stood silently, watching them leave. Karen thought quietly to himself, we will meet again. But when? I wonder. Suddenly, Leo's curiosity broke the silence. Karen, do you know what that brightly lit tower is? Karen followed his gaze and answered, that is the Mage Tower. His tone carried thoughtful deliberation. Mage Tower, huh? Leo repeated, then asked again, the place where the mages live, right? Karen replied calmly, roughly, yes. Hearing this, Leo exclaimed sincerely, it looks incredible. Karen gave a neutral nod, silently agreeing, though inwardly he scoffed. They have probably drained every coin from people's pockets, unlike 50 years ago. He lowered his gaze, bowing his head slightly. His expression darkened with complex feelings. Speaking of the Mage Tower. We have barely arrived in the capital, and I am already overwhelmed. Leo looked puzzled, glancing at Caron's back, but Karen did not turn to explain. He merely smiled faintly to himself and muttered, the royal capital. Caron's thoughts drifted to memories from before his death, stirring a melancholy sense within him. It felt almost like returning to a tomb. At that moment, a figure emerged, standing behind the two of them. You have arrived, huh? Seeing the person, Leo's voice trembled in fear. Brother Hugo. Karen turned to the young man with a serious gaze, a quiet sense of caution rising within him. He could not sense anything from the boy. This one is exceptional. Looking at the youth before him, Karen judged solemnly, a rare genius of the Empire. Hugo Reston. Hugo, having appeared, showed no emotion as he greeted them. The journey to the royal capital was hard, Karen, Leo. Hugo faced Karen and Leo, his demeanor calm as he spoke approvingly. You both made the long journey to the royal capital well done, Karen, Leo. Then, he suddenly reached out toward Karen. This is your first time meeting me, is not it, Karen? Karen extended his hand in return, shaking it firmly. It is an honor to meet you, Brother Hugo. Hugo maintained his usual cool expression as he offered praise. If I had known the youngest was this capable, I would have visited Azure Sea long ago. Karen laughed brightly, his tone friendly and warm. You are too kind. And you are just as formidable as the rumors say. To an outside observer, they might have seemed ordinary enough, but in Leo's eyes, the scene before him was tense, almost confrontational. He hesitated, wondering silently if these two were truly safe to be around. At that moment, a woman appeared from inside the house, her face radiating joy as she called out, "Karen, come here, my dear child." Karen looked over and, seeing clearly who it was, responded cheerfully, "Grandmother." The woman approached, affectionately ruffling his hair before showing genuine concern. "How long has it been? You have grown taller again." Karen smiled happily. "It has been a long time, grandmother." After checking on Karen, she turned to Leo with a warm smile. "Leo, welcome. I have prepared warm water for you. Bathe, rest, and make yourself comfortable." Leo responded politely, "Yes, thank you, grandmother." Meanwhile, Karen remembered his grandfather's message and quickly relayed it. Grandfather has some matters to attend to, so he will arrive a little later. Hearing this, the grandmother guided them into the house. "I already received word earlier. Come inside. Tomorrow we will need to buy a hairpin for the banquet, so make sure you sleep early, all right?" Karen obediently nodded. "Yes, grandmother." Nearby, a servant respectfully added, "Your luggage will be brought up as soon as you arrive." Behind them, Hugo gazed at his hand, inwardly stunned and contemplative. His magical power. It pushed back mine. He recalled the handshake from moments before, thoughts racing. Clearly, when he had extended his magic to gauge strength, Karen had countered, radiating his own magical energy, not the calm, placid power of a still sea, but something else entirely. Hugo stood frozen, his heart pounding as he silently judged. It is magic like violent waves in the midst of a raging storm. Then he remembered his father's warning, to keep his cousins from getting entangled in trouble in the royal capital. He must watch over them carefully. Hugo muttered Fael's words to himself. Trouble, huh? He followed Karen with his gaze as they entered the house, silently making a decision. Indeed, I will need to keep a close eye on him. Looking at Caron's smiling face, Hugo reflected deeply. Karen Reston. What kind of person are you, really? A little later, Karen had finished bathing and entered his room. He collapsed onto the bed, letting his mind relax. Thinking back to the earlier scene, he clicked his tongue in annoyance. He naturally radiated magic. His eyes grew solemn as he pondered. Truly an unpredictable individual, Hugo Reston. Of course, he is slightly different from Thales, but... He sighed and decided to let it go. Whatever. It has been 50 years since I returned to this tomb anyway. Karen walked over to the table and pulled a bottle of liquor out of the chest. His expression turned sly as he muttered, maybe I should sneak a few drinks from the stash I lifted off the sixth prince's carriage. Just to take the edge off. Once he decided, he did not hesitate. He popped the lid open, but just as it was about to come off, his eyes shifted and landed on something. Karen paused, staring at the sword leaning beside the bed. Slowly, he approached it and poured the liquor over the blade. And the moment the liquid touched it, a voice echoed in his head. What now, master? This is not blood. Karen took a swig from the bottle and replied casually, because I needed someone to talk to. The sword let out a resigned sigh. You really are not normal, you know that. Karen glanced at it, his tone calm and explanatory. Please understand. This place feels like my tomb. I know, it answered politely. Karen blinked in surprise. I never told you that. I read your memories, the sword said bluntly. Karen sat down on the bed and exhaled sharply, criticizing, definitely a cursed sword. Annoyed, the blade retorted, hey, I am not a cursed sword, alright. Ignoring its mood, Karen continued, Azure Dragon said you were the sword I used in my previous life. The sword sounded flustered. Well, I do not know how I ended up becoming a cursed sword either. Karen grew serious and asked, so you really do not remember anything from back then? That is right, the sword affirmed with certainty. But if I ever find the one who turned me into this... Its voice grew furious. I will chop his head off 1,000 times. Karen wagged his finger. You can only chop a head off once. Then he suggested calmly, why do not we go to North Sea and ask Azure Dragon directly? The sword rejected the idea immediately. North Sea, you are far too weak for that. Karen stood up and walked toward the window. Fine. I will figure it out myself. Are you mad, master? The sword asked hesitantly. Karen stared out the window, his voice composed. Of course not, cursed sword. Hearing that title again, the sword snapped. I said I am not a cursed sword. Karen no longer responded. He sank into his own thoughts. I will figure it out why this second life even began. He stared at his reflection in the glass, his mind swirling. The reason for this existence. Something impossible without an enormous force meddling with fate. Suddenly, the sword called out, "Hey, master." Karen turned with a questioning look. "The liquor." "Pour some more," it requested flatteringly. Outside, night draped the entire mansion, the stillness like the calm before an upcoming storm. The next morning, brilliant sunlight flooded the sky, while below, the city was already alive with vendors shouting, "Fresh goods here. Come see the play favored by the sixth prince." Hugo led Karen and Leo out for a walk. Voices of merchants drifted constantly into their ears. "Portrait sketches, get your portrait done on the spot." Suddenly, Karen shot Leo a fierce glare and scolded, "Hey. Quit gawking everywhere, you are not some country bumpkin." Leo's expression turned pitiful. "What is wrong with looking?" Hugo turned around at that moment, reprimanding sternly, "Couronne's right. Leo, as a member of the family, you must maintain proper etiquette." Leo immediately straightened like a mouse spotting a cat. "Yes, sir." After correcting Leo, Hugo turned to Karen. "And you too, Karen, while we are outside, show proper respect to me." Leo quickly chimed in, scolding as well, "Yeah, exactly." Hugo continued seriously, "When it is just the two of you, I do not care what you do. But in public, you must uphold the family's dignity and behave with proper decorum." Hearing that, Karen immediately pressed him, "So, you are saying that when we are alone later, I can talk to you more casually, right?" But Hugo did not answer. Instead, he turned his head away, pointed ahead, and said, "Looks like we are almost at the shop we planned to visit." Seeing that, Karen immediately cursed him silently in disdain. Nice way to dodge the question, huh? When Hugo simply walked on without responding, Karen grew irritated. "You are seriously just ignoring me," he grumbled, but there was nothing he could do, so he followed behind. Suddenly, a shop sign on the roadside caught his attention. Karen pointed toward it and called out, "Cousin, can we stop here for a bit?" Hugo turned and assessed the store. This place specializes in tailoring clothes for older nobles. "You like it?" Leo, standing beside them, added, "It looks old-fashioned." "You sure?" Karen instantly wrapped an arm around Leo's shoulders and said, "Fashion cycles, you know." "Cousin." Leo half believed, half doubted. "If you say so." Karen did not care whether he believed it or not. He shoved Leo inside while judging him. "What do you know about fashion?" Leo protested. "It is not like I know nothing." Hugo, meanwhile, simply watched the two cousins messing around without saying a word. Then he followed them in. The shop owner immediately greeted them warmly. "Welcome, esteemed guests. It is rare to see such young nobles visiting our humble store." He was an elderly gentleman, gentle and sincere. "I hope this place is to your liking. To be honest, I am not very skilled at making clothes that suit younger folk." With his hands clasped behind his back, he asked, "But if you place your trust in me, I will do my very best." "So, who will be ordering a custom outfit?" Karen stared at the man, stunned, completely taken aback, unable to recover his composure. When he finally responded to the question, his voice was absent-minded. "Me." A memory suddenly surfaced in his mind. "Sir Kane, how many times have I told you already?" A young boy held up a shirt, grumbling angrily. "You are driving me crazy. Do you even know how much work it takes to fix this?" Facing him was a young man. Hearing the complaints, the man awkwardly scratched his head and smiled. "Sorry. But because your craftsmanship is good, I can fight without worries." Hearing the sincerity, the boy froze, embarrassed. "As long as I finish by next week, right?" Then he turned back inside the shop, muttering as he walked. "And here I thought I would get a break today. Unbelievable." Back in the present, Karen finally returned to himself and followed the shop owner to get his measurements taken. The man measured while speaking kindly, "Since these clothes are for the Duke of Halo's grandson, I must put even more effort into them." Karen blinked in surprise. "You recognize our family?" "Of course," the old man replied naturally. Who would not recognize the Reston ducal crest? Besides, this was Sir Kane's favorite shop. He was a close friend of Duke Halo. Karen questioned him further, "You still remember Sir Kane?" The shop owner's expression grew deeply sentimental. "Naturally. I do not know about others, but to me, he was an incredibly warm-hearted man." Realizing he had spoken too much, he suddenly grew apologetic. "I am sure he never even remembered my name." Karen did not respond. He looked at the man, his thoughts sinking. "Now that I think about it, I came to this store for years. And I always called him Kid. He lowered his head, eyes dim with a quiet sorrow. So this is what it feels like to be remembered. Then he raised his head and asked, "May I ask, what is your name?" The shop owner blinked in surprise. "My name." Then he smiled so warmly that Karen saw the faint silhouette of the boy from his memories overlapping with the man before him. "My name is Luhan." And, in the present, the man echoed the same name, Luhan. The peaceful moment shattered when a young girl suddenly burst into the shop, shouting, "Grandpa, did you hear? Sir Kane's enemy." She rushed out the news breathlessly. The Reston ducal heir, the Duke of Halo's grandson, is in the capital right now. She spotted the three inside and her voice faltered. "He is already here." The girl pointed awkwardly at them, confused. The Reston ducal family. But Karen, upon hearing the rumor, was dazed, lost in thought. "Halo is my enemy." From behind the door came a girl's voice. "It has been a while. Sir Hugo." Hugo quickly introduced her to everyone. "This is our first meeting since the last exchange event." Amy. Leo, caught off guard by her presence, blinked in surprise. "Amy." Then he remembered some information about her. "Wait. Is that Amy Altera?" Karen raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. "You know who she is?" Leo hurriedly explained. "She was a sword prodigy ranked 4th star when she was just 17. Karen sighed, shaking his head in amazement. "Why are there so many geniuses in this world?" Hugo spoke up immediately. "Please forgive my cousin's behavior, Amy. He is still a bit impolite." Amy did not seem offended. "That is all right." Hugo then gave a fuller introduction. "Karen, Leo, this is Amy Altera, a member of the Royal Guard." Karen bowed respectfully. "It is an honor." "I am Karen." Amy cut him off before he could finish. "I know. You are Karen Reston, right, and this is Leo Reston." The boy's face flushed, and he stammered, "Yes. I am Leo Reston." As Amy turned away, Leo hugged his chest in embarrassment. "She knows me." Karen, on the other hand, was puzzled. "How does she know about us? Could our reputation have already reached the capital?" Amy quickly explained to the young ones. "Your seniors in the Royal Guard told me." Everyone finally understood it was the escorting knights who had informed her. Karen, impressed, thought to himself, "She recognized us just from our names. She is sharp." The butler quietly asked, "Miss Amy, have you eaten yet?" Startled, she exclaimed, "What?" But keeping polite, she declined. "No need for formalities with me. Just speak as we did before. I am still an apprentice, not even a full knight yet." Hugo gently reassured her, "You are too modest. They say you will be leading the Royal Guard for the next 50 years. Amy blushed. "You flatter me too much, sir." At that moment, Karen cut in, curious, "But why do people say your grandfather was Sir Kane's enemy?" Amy's eyes widened in surprise. "What?" Karen continued, teasingly, "He is just the one who sold his soul to a demon, right? What is there to respect?" Hugo hurriedly cautioned him before things went too far. "Karen, watch your words." Amy's voice rang out sharply. "What did you just say? How dare you speak like that and insult Sir Kane? I challenge you to a duel." Karen smirked. "Oh, and on what grounds do you challenge me?" Amy, almost in tears from anger, said, "Because I am the heir to Sir Kane's will." Karen fanned the flames. "And this so-called will? What is it? Following the demon emperor to the very end? What if it was all just because of a sold soul and not his true will?" Amy was speechless, stunned by his words. "What?" Still trying to preserve some dignity, she added, "Even so, Sir Kane would follow the demon emperor to the very end. He is proud." Karen sighed in exasperation. "So old-fashioned. People like this can't reason. Want to become a true knight and let emotions rule your actions." Amy retorted firmly, "It is not emotions. It is Sir Kane's honor." In the middle of her defiant stance, her stomach growled. Leo nudged her lightly. "What is that loud sound?" Karen joined in teasingly, "Before the duel, should not you fill your stomach first?" Amy, caught off guard by the sudden turn of events, stammered, What?" Karen laughed, pretending nothing had happened. "Decide quickly, pig, cow, or goat, or..." He gestured jokingly. "We could duel outside right now." Amy, sensing the pressure Karen exuded, tensed. "That mana. It is overwhelming." She thought to herself, "I heard he is also a 4th star like me, but his skill is on a completely different level." The butler interjected, trying to calm the situation. "Miss Amy, would you like to dine with Master Karen? Surely you have not eaten properly while repaying your family's debt." Since fate has brought us together, please enjoy this meal. Miss, you should eat on time. Amy, embarrassed, knew she could not refuse. She was too hungry. At the dining table, they sat facing each other. Amy felt the weight of his gaze and looked up quickly, offering an excuse. I am only eating to gather strength for the duel. Karen teased, suddenly serious, are we? Amy hurried to clarify, do not misunderstand, I will pay my share with the next month's salary. Karen smiled, do not worry, we won't misunderstand. At that moment, Amy suddenly stood up. I won't agree to any promises on an empty stomach. She extended her hand toward Karen, her expression resolute. Then, a handshake. Consider it a pact. Karen paused for a moment, observing carefully. He noticed a few unusual things about Amy's hand. Her skin was rough and calloused, evidence of consistent, disciplined training, no shortcuts, no tricks. He smiled faintly to himself, thinking, if it were not for her old-fashioned personality, she would truly be a rare talent. He did not remain silent any longer and accepted her hand. All right. Encouraged, Amy pushed for a little more. Then, let me order one more dish. Karen did not hesitate. Go ahead. Order whatever you want. Hugo, witnessing this, was visibly stunned. Just a moment ago, they were ready to duel, and now they are ordering food. From the dining room, Amy's voice carried, catching the attention of a stranger. Add another plate here, please. He observed from within, seeing them talking animatedly. Curious, he asked, if you care about Sir Kane, you must know Professor Uri's, right? Amy answered honestly, of course. He offered a new perspective on Sir Kane. Karen chimed in proudly, really, he was my tutor when I was a child. Amy's expression lit up with genuine interest. Really, was he a good teacher? The stranger stepped into the dining room, instructing his subordinates, I am going alone. Do not follow. They immediately obeyed, responding, yes, young master. Karen, ever combative, leaned forward eagerly. So, when are we dueling? Amy, however, remained relaxed. After finishing the extra dish she had ordered, Karen half joked, half praised her. I like how straightforward you are. He added, partly to avoid future trouble, are you sure, dueling me, you would be beaten nearly to death? Amy displayed her confidence. I won't hold back just because you are young. At that moment, the stranger who had just entered finally spoke, and it was clear he had noticed Amy. Amy, now that you have arrived, you should have contacted my brother first. You should not be mingling with these beggars, right? Seeing Karen not respond, he pressed further. Is the Royal Guard trainee really this free, and still have time to wander around with men like these? Karen merely smirked. Found the arrogant brat, he thought, the faint curl of a grin revealing that he had sized up this young man quickly.